where voices cry but none can speak. In halls of whispers, secrets keep. We're here to break the silent streak. Stand up, fight, don't let it go. Reveal the truth they won't show. In the darkness, light will grow. Justice rises, voices flow. Children's dreams are cast aside in the system where lies reside. We won't let them run and hide. Hearts are strong, we're full of pride. Stand up, fight, don't let it go. Reveal the truth they won't show. In the darkness, light will grow. Justice rises, voices flow. Children's dreams are cast aside in the system where lies reside. We won't let them run and hide. Hearts are strong, we're full of pride. Stand up, fight, don't let it go. Reveal the truth they won't show. In the darkness, light will grow. Justice rises, voices flow. And every tear a story's told. Every heartbeat's calling bold. With hands and spirits we will mold a future where love takes hold. Stand up, fight, don't let it go. Reveal the truth they won't show. In the darkness, light will grow. Justice rises, voices flow.
In the heart of our great nation, where the strength of our communities is built upon the foundation of strong and loving families, an urgent crisis is unfolding. Child Protective Services, CPS, an institution designed to safeguard our most vulnerable, has in many cases betrayed its noble mission. Too often, families are torn apart not by neglect or abuse, but by systemic failures and corruption. We can no longer stand idly by as these injustices continue. We are here to give a voice to those who have been isolated, to shine a light on the corruption, and to rally our fellow citizens in this critical fight for justice. Every day, countless families are caught in a web of bureaucracy and abuse of power, their lives disrupted and their bonds shattered. Children, who should be nurtured and protected, are instead placed in situations that can be just as, if not more, harmful than the circumstances from which they were taken. Parents, often bewildered and powerless, face insurmountable odds as they fight to reunite with their children. This is not the America we believe in. We cannot allow these injustices to persist. Our mission is to educate, to inform, and to inspire action. We promise to bring you daily updates on CPS, exposing the truth and fighting for reform. We must remember that the future of our nation depends on the strength and unity of our families. By standing together, we can hold CPS accountable and ensure that it fulfills its true purpose, protecting children and preserving families. This is a fight we must not and will not lose. We are committed to saving our families and securing a brighter future for all. The road ahead is challenging, but with your support, we can make a difference. Together, we will bring hope to those who have lost it and ensure that justice prevails. Let us unite with unwavering resolve and a sense of patriotic duty to safeguard the integrity of our families and the future of our nation.
Good evening. I'm your special guest host tonight, Gunner, on CPS Breaking News, CPS Victims. We've got a breaking story that has just happened and developed today. There was some huge raids from one of our sources sent us today that we got connected with in Minneapolis, Minnesota. The ICE and FBI and federal programs are taking care of what they're taking care of also, but they're also taking care of human trafficking rings and child trafficking rings. I'm glad you guys could take and join us, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to lead right into this special report and show you that coverage of that video and what was recorded probably just a couple hours ago. It's very interesting how the sanctuary cities such as Minneapolis tries to do to cover this up and to allow this stuff to happen and live in their communities and act like this is okay. This is America. We have laws, we have things established, and people come in there, they didn't have a warrant, they didn't have this, they didn't have that. They don't need to if you're here illegally, hence the word illegal. Including when they're raiding some of the homes and some of the other things, they're finding drugs, fentanyl, all sorts of different things, children trafficking rings. I mean, this is all connected, guys, and they're taking it serious. So here's a shout out, and just watch this video. It's really good stuff, and you guys just check this out.
Place. Shame on you! This is how the sheriff works. What you're about to watch is a suspected ICE raid, human trafficking ring raid, drug bust here on the streets of Minneapolis. And this is footage like never seen before and live, raw footage from the streets of Minneapolis. This could cause something similar to 2020 here on the streets of Minneapolis. I'll speak no more and get into the video. What, is it an ICE raid over there?
Oh yeah, big one.
Oh shoot. I don't know what just happened here. We have an ICE raid. Just broke loose here in Minnesota.
Are you coughing? Are you coughing? Fuck you.
What just happened?
They just pepperballed everybody.
For what?
I don't fucking know. I don't want to talk to you. Because they're kids.
You're a fucking immigrant!
What just happened?
They just stole people. They just fucking kidnapped people and they drove away. They gave no warrants. They gave no badge numbers. They gave no names. They said, I don't have a name when we asked. And then they fucking threw someone on the ground and took him too. And then, in the midst of all that, they shot tear gas with us. We are in the worst AQI that I've seen in my lifetime in this city. And you know who the main contributor to climate change is? The fucking American military-industrial complex. And what do? They come out here, they have the audacity to kidnap our neighbors and then to shoot us with tear gas when we decline to consent. Fuck them.
So was that just an ICE raid that took place?
What'd you say?
Was that just an ICE raid that took place?
Yes.
How many people did they take?
I don't know. I saw one, and I think more were taken before I arrived, but I don't know.
Yeah, what is this?
Someone get that to the news.
Seriously. This is so fucked up. Yeah.
The police also started tear gas and pepper spraying the people. You have FBI here in camouflage.
Now that thing that they were touching, that's a breaching tool that SWAT and several of the others take and use, and it usually has a pneumatic tool that shoots through and tears out literal walls.
Up here, have a car right here as well. I don't know how many people they just took, but I was just literally driving and hopped out of the car and this happened.
Our streets!
Whole streets!
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 Yo, don't fucking touch her.
Alright, then we have people here pushing the cops right here. And now they took them.
Fuck you! Get your fucking hands off!
Look what they're doing! Come on!
Hey, fuck you guys! Fuck you guys!
No!
MPD! Hey! We need your fucking protection from these guys! And your salary! Help us!
What's going on?
The cops won't fucking protect us from these fucking FBI agents!
An ICE raid has taken place here in Minneapolis. The cops, SWAT team, FBI, whoever's out here has completely taken over the streets, and people have taken to the streets. I don't even know what has happened. I was literally driving, filming a completely separate video, and then I got out of the car because they had taken over this whole entire block. This is what's happening here on the streets. Here you have the police, right here you have the police right behind me, then you have the FBI, then you have a huge group of another group then you have another group of law enforcement behind us, and then you have everybody chanting, "Our streets."
Push the people!
I'll get you a job. I'll get you a job. I can get you a job. I can get you a good paying job. I can get you a good paying job. Guns don't belong here. Put the gun down. I'll get you a job. You're fucking hired. Please, man.
This guy's offering the FBI guy another job.
Shame on you! 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 Shame on you!
All of these people right here are blocked.
You know, it makes you wonder, the guy that was taking and offering a job, how many workers and stuff like that he just lost, and watching his business go down the drain because of hiring illegal immigrants. And that's very well known in those parts of Minnesota and a lot of big cities, that people take advantage of those people and, you know, think that they're doing you know, some kind of favor. A lot of contractors and stuff do that, you know, all over the country. And, you know, they may pay them a decent pay or anything else, but at the same time, they're not legally able to work. Those type of things, you know, they're not here legally. As well as, you know, the trafficking of the fentanyl that was reported just the other day in another raid, that and a house they found that was full of children just the other day.
Eyes from leaving the street. They're in front of this car, yelling, "Shame on you," not letting the police move or law enforcement move. And here's FBI coming through right now.
Shame on you!
For that shit. Then we'll see if y'all keep doing this bullshit, okay? Okay? You piece of shit. You piece of shit. Bro, you can't even push it. Yeah, put it there. You piece of shit. I want nothing to do with his car. He's putting into these people. Y'all gotta watch it, bro.
FBI's trying to move. People are pushing the FBI. People are pushing the police. The police aren't having anything to do with it. They're pushing these people around.
Shame! Officers, are there people in shame?
This could be a whole nother start of raids happening and riots happening here inside of Minneapolis. I've never seen anything quite like this. People are throwing stuff at the police. Now people are taking to the streets. Now that people are trying to block ICE from leaving this place, they're throwing garbages here onto the streets, trashing it. They're not gonna let the police leave here. People have written here on this.
I never knew what eating salads was doing to me until I saw this. Hey, if you want to get rid of your beer belly and time
Law enforcement car, don't come back. You have the Minneapolis police here, you have the sheriff here, you have FBI, you have ICE here as well. Then on this one it says bitch Nazi right here on the side of this vehicle right here. This is the FBI coming through here today with ICE and the police. All right,
you gotta get back behind the line.
They need to get out of our streets. This is indigenous land. Never forget it.
How are you doing?
I'm all right.
Yeah, so what happened? What just happened?
I don't know. I was riding by to go to the gym, and then I hear them just yelling ICE, and then this restaurant closed down. I don't know, but I know I didn't like what I seen by the energy that's out here.
How many people did they take?
From I seen about 2 people. Yes.
A group right here trying to block the police from leaving once again. They threw out a bunch of garbages. Now people are trying to create a line out here to stop ICE and FBI and the police from leaving.
Get out of the neighborhood. Don't kidnap people, you fucks.
Right now. That's your city.
So get the fuck out! Fuck you!
No!
Fuck you! Fuck you! Fucking pigs! You guys are fucking animals! You act like fucking animals! We protect us! We don't need any of you!
You fascist!
How do you feel about the police coming through here today?
They're fascists. Quit their goddamn jobs.
Then get out of the fucking road!
Hey, fuck you!
Fuck you!
Move on, right now! Hey, back up!
So these people are putting up a pretty strong wall here. They're not letting people. The police are obviously retaliating. People are pushing back at the police, showing no respect towards the police. People are upset because the ICE did come through here and they did take some illegal immigrants out of here, of the city. What do you got to say to the police officers today?
Get the fuck out! Abolish the police!
These are the same streets where the riots did take place in 2020 after the George Floyd incident.
This is how the sheriff works. This is how this guy gets up. You don't know the city, fucking dumb fucker!
Push it through. Go back to Oak River, you pieces of shit!
Now they're throwing more garbages out here into the street to block more people.
Mike, come back! Bye, Mike! Mike! Bye back.
Look, you had this guy taunting and messing with the police. He's gotten thrown a few times by the police. And he's keeping on going back to him too. This guy right here just got pushed by the police after he's pushing at them. Police threw him down and he keeps going after them. Police are now pepper spraying. They're throwing stuff out here in the streets. They're blocking the FBI from coming through. People are taking out here to the street. This could be another start of riots here on the streets of Minneapolis. This whole entire, about 3 blocks have been taken over by the people and by ICE and by law enforcement here. And now people have taken to the streets. People are yelling all sorts of things here at the police officers. So the police have left now. People are here on the streets. The police did get out. Looks like they're at another stop though. More people are running. Let's see what happens. It looks like law enforcement made it out on that side. However, there still is a bunch of police back here and more people are taken to the streets. People are running towards the police, throwing all sorts of things. You can taste the pepper spray in the air from the cops pepper spraying some of the people that are throwing stuff at them. Probably behind me, there's probably about 1,000 people here on the streets here in Minneapolis right now. What did you guys see happen?
They tried to drag somebody into one of them trucks. The people, when I pulled up, we pulled them out, blocked them off. I don't know if they got anybody, but they need to get the fuck out of here.
All right, we're going back to the main intersection. Looks like the police are clearing it all out of here. This is where the ICE did come through. The streets are clearing out now. People are upset and all the news crews are here now. We're seeing what's happening here on the ground. Start talking to some of the folks. Must have been a bunch of illegal immigrants here. They came in here and took over. Now we have people out here with the ball.
Your business tech should be easy, fast and intuitive, and built to work.
ICE signs, Immigrant Rights Action Committee. Let's see if we can find somebody who was here right at the start of the raid. Your hat says abolish ICE. How many ICE agents did you see come through here today?
I saw FBI on vests, and I saw Minneapolis Police, and I saw Hennepin County Sheriff.
Yeah, because I guess I didn't see anything that said ICE. It was more
Right.
FBI.
Yeah.
So how many people did they take today?
I wasn't here when they took them. Apparently it was all Quattro Milpas, and I don't know. These guys, some of these folks were here before I got here.
How do you feel about ICE and the FBI coming in here today?
Absolutely bullshit.
I just heard you say this isn't Nazi Germany.
Yeah, this isn't Nazi Germany. These people are our friends, our neighbors. Hell, they probably bought tacos from you yesterday, and now they're here. They don't even have a reason to detain them, and they're grabbing them. They're not even checking their credentials. They could be legal, they could be illegal. Quite frankly, I don't care, but they care, so they should do it properly, if they're going to do it at all, which I don't think they should.
And do you think they should go out with do you think they should carry through the mass deportations with all the illegal immigrants?
No, not at all. I think they should, maybe like they say, look for the people who are committing felonies, and that would be more white people here than Hispanic people. So go after them, the violent criminals, not the masses.
And say they did come out here and they did do their research and they did find that there were some criminals here, illegal criminals. Would you support the raid then?
I would support individual due process of individuals, yes. Yes.
Awesome, thank you so much, ma'am. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
I am on a Shinabe. My Mexican brothers and sisters have as much as right as I do to these lands.
Right on. Come here. Let's get over to safety, okay?
Fuck the feds! Fuck the feds! Fuck the feds!
This guy's here in the middle of the street in the intersection. Green lights, red lights. We're in the middle. Were you here when the raid took place?
Nah, but I heard about it.
How many people did you hear they take?
I ain't hear shit about who they took or what, but fuck them bitches.
I got a question for you guys watching this video right now. If you're one of the police officers and you're getting pushed at by the protesters, do you have the right to push them back and do whatever you want as far as protecting yourself or not? Yeah, who came through here today?
Everybody. National Guard, DEA, FBI, Homeland Security, sheriffs, police, they brought everyone.
So what kind of raid was it?
I mean, I don't want to say much, right? But I know a lot of owners here are involved in shady stuff, so maybe they were involved too.
So do you think it was more than just an ICE raid?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, DEA doesn't just show up for ICE, for raids like that.
So it could have been an ICE raid, also DHS, you had DHS, you had FBI
I mean, I think ICE was just here because they're Mexican owners. I think that's why ICE was here, but DEA, Homeland Security, FBI, they don't just show up for anything, right? DEA specifically only shows up when it's drug related. Homeland Security, I mean.
So we had the DEA here as well.
Yeah, everyone was here.
So it was more likely that it was an ICE raid, drug bust. There's a lot of things that could have been taking place here.
Because when I got here, it was all controlled in that area, on that block. And then like 20 minutes ago, that's when it started getting into full-on chaos. They were rolling down the street. People were throwing trash bins, cones, all this stuff. From what I was seeing, right, it wasn't just ICE. You had.
And where are we at right now here in Minneapolis?
We're on the corner of Lake and Bloomington. This building here, Mercado Central. But it all happened in that restaurant, Las Cuatro Milpas. That's where it all happened. That's when I showed up. They were inside mainly that whole block area over there. But
so the DEA, ICE, whoever it was, FBI, went inside of that restaurant right there.
Yeah, when I got here, they're already inside. They were like pulling people out. I couldn't say how many people they brought out, but they brought out people.
So it very well could have just been a drug bust inside of that restaurant.
It could have been, yeah, or it could have been like money laundering, stuff like that. But it wasn't just an ICE raid. That's for sure. I can say that for sure.
And we just got all that information from that police officer here. So this could have been an ICE raid, a drug raid, a human trafficking raid. Could have been all of the above, because you had FBI here, you had DHS, you had DEA here, you had the police here, and you also had ICE here outside of and it sounds like it all took place here outside of this restaurant here, Las Cuatro Milpas. So there must have been something shady going on inside of here to bring all of that law enforcement here, and now people are taking to the streets. There's a lot of people out here. This could have been more than just an ICE raid.
Yeah, I mean, the people think it's nice. I'm not too sure. The one officer, FBI, said it's on the website, it's a warrant for like human trafficking and stuff. But people are saying it's ICE, and ICE was here. They just kind of left. Took one van went that way, the other went that way.
So there could have just been a huge drug.
Okay, so let's address some of these things. One, it was made very clear this was mislabeled as just being an ICE raid. One, he was correct that DEA will not show up unless it's drug related. And you're looking at FBI, human trafficking. Matter of fact, he said the report, if you listen towards the end, that they had talked to him, hey, this dealt with human trafficking and everything else. They're dealing with something similar to, I mean, the big crackdown right now has been on the gangs and such as MS-13 and a lot of other things that were in there. So this saying that it was just about illegals, that's not what's there. But if ICE is there because there are illegal criminals there, they have to show up. It's a joint task force. And that's why there was all the agencies that were there. DEA is involved when there's drugs, which we told you, if you've been following some of the stuff at the post that we've been doing, there was a huge raid, a couple of raids that went down in, I believe it was Massachusetts and a couple of the others. I mean, they're just popping them left and right, and it's connected with fentanyl. So they're doing a huge crackdown on fentanyl, which means that, the DEA is involved. And so that's, sorry, phone's going off. I got a lot of sources, man. My phone's been blowing up all day with all sorts of information. We've made the connection related to CPS in this trafficking ring. We made all the connections, with the whole web of the trafficking ring and how they're shipping around and the names of the companies and everything else. We have all of that now, every bit of it, including the international trafficking ring. So this is one of the things that people say, well, we don't get it. And what you're doing, listen, I don't even have to put anything else out because everything that I do is already monitored. So if we've got something and we're putting out on our pages or this information, this and that, bam, they've got it. Here's the network, here's the businesses, here's this and that, boom. And it's like less than 24 hours. They've got their warrants together and everything else. And they are just taking stuff out. And which is kind of cool in a way that they actually are listening to us and they know what's coming. They know the reckoning is real. They know that we're going to return to the Constitution. And I know a lot of people don't agree or disagree, it may be, but we are still a country of laws. And when it comes down to it, and a lot of people say, well, due process and this, that, no, That doesn't happen when you're here illegally. And the same way, excuse me, when you commit treason or sedition, your rights are gone. And that's one thing when these people are going to be held accountable, these judges, these magistrates, these CPS workers and everything else, for doing what they're doing, they're not going to have any rights. Because when you turn against the Constitution in this country, you are an enemy of our country. And you don't get those things. Those are wiped clean. That's why when you have those things for treason and sedition, your trials are not even held on U.S. soil. This is why we have places like Gitmo. And there's a reason that, President Trump was talking to Venezuela of another prison similar to the prison that they have, because we can hold war criminals in other countries and subcontract that. And that's one thing that a lot of people really struggle with, but those are the laws of the land, whether we like it or not. And that's not going to change because our Constitution is very, very clear. But everybody assumed in the video, oh, it's ICE, it's ICE, it's ICE. And they connected it to a restaurant of illegal activity. I mean, obviously, this is not something they just wake up and go, I'm going to turn around and do this, and I'm going to take and do that. And then you've got all these people protecting criminals, let alone if you heard the one guy, hey, we heard it was part of human trafficking. Well, that changes everything, doesn't it? Isn't that what we're fighting for here? Is, to stop human trafficking of CPS and other organizations that are trafficking women and children and families. I mean, and boys, girls, it doesn't matter. It's all connected on one level or another, whether or not they're shipping from foster homes to do this and keeping them with Americans, or, they're selling them out as sex workers, or shipping kids, out to other countries for the same damn thing. It doesn't matter. Trafficking another person and doing that stuff, especially here with everything that's been revealed, it's got to stop. And now somebody's doing something about it. No, this wasn't just an ICE raid. If not, why was DEA there? FBI, Department of Homeland Security. It was a joint task force. They are taking out MS-13 and several other listed ones. They have their network. They're finding these people. I mean, just the other day, they found a huge human trafficking ring where they found, I forgot what it was. It was something like 40, 50 people locked in a business in the basement, that they were trafficking them out of businesses and out of homes and everything else. We're just catching up with some of the stories. So we've got to really look at this and say, do we really want to be a true constitutional country? Because you get a lot of people, and and there's a lot of people just go, oh no, you get due process, you get the, not if you're not a citizen. That's the laws. And no, they don't need a warrant. They don't need a court order or anything. They just got to know you're in there, and they have every right to come in. And at the same time, if it's a no-knock warrant, they don't have to produce anything until after. That's the ignorance of some people, that they don't understand that stuff. And that's where you've not been educated, and you can see a whole town that has no clue of constitutional rights, or let alone the laws of the land. They're so used to, no, everybody this. Well, that's your opinion. But if you remember back when that we give you that history lesson, with the senator from Kentucky that talked about Daniel Boone, that went before Congress and said, we don't have the right to give away other people's money. And when people make decisions of, we want these people here, but they're not supporting them. It's not like I'm here to sponsor you and give you a house, give you food, and provide you enough to get on your feet and everything else when you do it, especially legally. When you're here and you do some of those things, you are robbing every other American. And that means you're robbing money out of my pocket, your pocket, and everybody else. And that's not right. A federal government doesn't have the right to do that, nor does any private citizen have the right to make that decision. If they want to give out of their pocket, well, then give out of your pocket. But no, they're not doing, well, I did this or I did that. And they assumed things. And in the beginning of the video, the first thing that the one girl talked about, she twisted everything about climate change. What's that got to do with what's going on here? She made it about her own agenda, twisted everything. That's not what was going on. Misinformation. They assumed things. And once again, we have a right to do this. No, they're not going to inform somebody. That's like telling somebody, hey, we're coming for you, and this is the time we're coming, and this is happening, and all that other stuff. Did you see the amount of damage those idiots? And I'm going to call them idiots for a reason, because they were destroying their own community and the local businesses and all the other stuff and the garbage in the street and everything else. Who's going to go back there and clean that up? No, they figure somebody else will wipe their butt for them. There's the problem. There's the way of thinking that's wrong, and that's not the way it works, whether you like it or not. That's the way this country is founded on, legal and illegal. And there are certain rules and laws and everything else. You want to change things? Change the laws. But for them to come down with all the other things that were there of, oh, well, it's this, or they're just coming for illegals, or just that goes out the window when you know the structure of anything to do with Joint Task Force. That's not even true, because they wouldn't be there. And if DEA was there, it's drugs. That's the reason they're there. Fentanyl, they are cracking down on fentanyl rings all across this country. They are cracking down on MS-13 all across this country. They were declared a terrorist organization. And these people are, oh, no, they're my neighbors. So you enjoy living next to terrorists? I mean, if you want to, why don't you go where they're at or where they're from and try that shit here, over there? Because there's the disillusion that most Americans have that have never been out of the country, never done anything about that, no experience with any other culture, is to turn around and say, well, it's like America, or where we live, or in your small town, or anything else, is the same in Mexico, or is the same in Puerto Rico, or is in the same in Afghanistan, and all sorts of things. I mean, when you're dealing with stuff that's going on in Iran and Pakistan, y'all need to wake up about that too. They are just now getting internet and everything else, and they're having a mass exodus. I think the number was 43% of people that were going into the Muslim faith, that they were dropping out of the Muslim faith at 43% because of the internet and the truth. And they were finding things out. Now, what do? It's about brain control. It's about mass lacking and destroying. We talk about sharing knowledge and sharing information and making your own decision from those things. Well, you've got countries like that are shutting all that down, just the same as they wanted to shut down things like TikTok and some of the other platforms for free speech that we have in this country. And of course, there's a lot of manipulating with it, but we do the best we can. We're fighting the fight. But that's why platforms like this, and you'll notice not a single news source was around. Major news source was even close. It was an independent journalist, just like we are. And my hat's off, to that young man for that. That was sent to us and said, hey, check this out. This just broke. As it was going, I'm like, oh my God, this is what's going on. And everybody said, oh, it's an ice raid, it's this and that. And I'm like, no, that don't make sense. And then he started to get, notice the rest of the story, not just the clip. See the difference all the other information made? The one guy turned around and goes, oh no, it was about human trafficking. That's what they were searching for. Now that changes everything, doesn't it? Doesn't it? Because if you're going to condone human trafficking or housing those people or protecting those people, I got a serious problem with that. I think you're a sympathizer. I think you agree with that stuff, and you're going to come up with any other excuse when the facts are there's evidence and hard evidence enough to you're doing this. Now, as some of you know, I'm here from Blount County, Tennessee, and I posted something about the networking of how with one of our other reporters that's been doing a deep research into this stuff and getting all the connections and everything else, and showed the trafficking ring and the whole network of one of the main hubs. And one of the main hubs goes through Knox County, Tennessee, Knoxville, Tennessee, and named the company and where the web was and how the money was going. And we're just south of that. And now you just turn around and you put that out to the local community. Well, we're going to ban you from this local group because you've exposed this. Now, Blount County, Tennessee made national news for what? Having a pedophile teacher that they covered up for, I think it was over 80 kids, touching 80 kids over like 20 years. And he only got a 6-month sentence, suspended. And after that 6 months, his record's wiped clean and never lost his teaching certificate. That's what we're crying out about, is they're perpetuating the system. They want them to go out and reoffend. They want them to go out and touch more children. Why? Because when you're involved in a sexual case like that, what's that mean? Money for CPS. Then they're going to blame the parents. You allowed this to happen. You allowed it to take and do this and this, and that's when they take the children. You're now a bad parent because you allowed this to happen to your children. It's a fucking setup. It's a pyramid scam, and they're all in on it. And you've seen people trying to do the right thing. They're just doing their job as far as, you know, what they're doing. And you're talking about shutting down fentanyl and human trafficking, and that's a problem, and you're standing up for that? Y'all need to get some information and don't assume stuff, and get the facts out and let them take and do it. Oh, well, it's Germany, it's fascism. It says, no, this is the stuff it's bringing to your community. This is the stuff you're blind to. You know, like Blount County, Tennessee, we're not going to worry about these corrupt judges and all these other things and the pedophilia and everything else happening in a public school system and public schools covering it up over and over again. What's the number one news right now is pedophiles being exposed in public school systems and in organized religions. I mean, you had another person that was saying, well, I'm going to stand up and I'm going to run for office here in Blount County, and that was exposed. Somebody said, no, wait a minute. Weren't you accused of kissing an underage girl and some other things? And he was part of a youth pastor or something here up in Blount County, and then all of a sudden, boom, here comes the story. Hey, we're not putting up with this anymore, and people are speaking up. Hey, you were accused of this, or you were convicted of that, or this was going on and that was going on. We're not going to take that stuff anymore. Leave the damn kids alone. And I've always got saying, I said, and I don't want to say the word, but people that you truly know have the attitude. Listen, I love my kids to death. Okay, man, all my kids are, my birth kids are grown. Okay. But at the same time, raising them and everything else, I love them to death. But at the same time, fuck them kids. They're a pain in the ass. They don't fucking listen. You try everything you can. They're hard-headed and everything else, and you're frustrated. And at the same time, when other people's kids and everything else, man, that's too many damn kids. Why? Because now you got a bunch of kids that are running around acting a damn fool. And sometimes it can become overwhelming, act right, act proper. That's why we get frustrated with them. But that's part of the growth thing. That's part of being an adult. But at the same time, yeah, we were the same way. But understand, when they get into this real world, listen, guys, this real world, the world out there, when you got to go to work, you got to do this, you got to do that, it sucks. I mean, let alone the stuff that CPS is doing, everything else. Imagine going through all that. I mean, that's what your children have to look forward to, is a life with that. That's why we're trying to fix this, abolish it, go back to the Constitution and saying, hey, listen, so long as we can all live constitutionally, I don't care. You go do you. And, everything, I guess there's an argument now going on with Pride Month versus Veterans Mental Health Month of it being remanded and all this. You know what? I once again, when it comes to what happens in your house, your Fourth Amendment house, protected house, it's not my business. So long as you're not hurting children and you have consenting adults, I don't care. That's your right. But it's Fourth Amendment. It's what's within these walls that is constitutionally protected. And some people, and I can see some people have probably dropped out of the chat or got mad or their feelings hurt or whatever else. I don't agree. And that's your opinion. That's fine. But we all got to have one agreement, the Constitution and the laws that protect it and protect us. Because of what has happened, we have let drug dealers, child traffickers, repeat offenders, terrorists they've caught under this stuff known terrorists. That's right, known terrorists wanted by other countries. Even I forget the name of the country, but just this past, over the weekend, I believe it was, or the last week, that they busted up like the top terrorists, like, the most wanted terrorist of that country tried to cross our border. And we caught him and turned him over back to his country to hold for his crimes. That's some scary shit, folks. We want to live peacefully and we want to live free. That also means that we have to keep all the riffraff and everything else out. There's a reason for it. We have a legal process to come in. Well, they're seeking asylum. They're doing that. Well, great. We have a legal way to do it. You just don't walk across our border. And we've got to, you know what a border is? And if you've been on the show with me and Sharon, we've talked about this before, especially with Sharon. It's called boundaries. We've got established boundaries. Do not cross them. But you can tell a lot of people were not taught boundaries or circles. And it shows. And you wonder why things are so messed up on top of the fact of the food that's poisoning us, changing us, and all the other things. And they wonder, well, why are these people? Why? Their brains are rotted. From what? Processed foods. Do you know what those chemicals do to your body and to your brain? Yeah, it turns men into women, more feminine things with those foods. They've done the studies on it. They've proved it. Matter of fact, there's a certain section of the soybean that causes this. What do they put in a lot of stuff? Soy. Yeah, that's right. It'll turn you frou-frou. But what does it do to women? It makes them angry and masculine and too much. Hence, you've got a lot of the feminist movement. They've been doing this on purpose to what? Divide us. Destroy our families. If you don't want a family, don't have one. Just that simple. But at the same time, don't be given away. Like, the senator from Kentucky said, that Daniel Boone said, they have a responsibility. The government does. Those are elected and appointed officials that go to the federal government within the House of Representatives and the Senate, that is known as Congress, as well as the president and those others, to uphold those things and be responsible and be, have a responsibility and an obligation to the people to be, very choice with the money and those taxes and everything else they spend them on. Not on frivolous stuff. That's why DOGE came in and go, look, chop, 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 chop. This is abuse. And that's all it comes down to it. And that's all connected with the CPS network. What are they abusing? Title IV. So that's just one of those things that, it's just, crazy. 1 second here. And, I know Darren's been having a few internet issues. That's why we came on here. But, guys, this is common sense. We cannot stop what's happening to our kids if we don't fix all the other problems that the deep state, the corporation, the cabal, whatever you want to name it, is stopped. And this is happening across the globe. I know a lot of you guys don't understand. We a lot of people that watch, especially my show, are from New Zealand, Australia, Ireland, France. We've got contacts all over the world. With being an internet, an international independent reporter, yes, I have the credentials for that. So we can report on all those things. And this is happening all over the world. This is globalist. This is that, to overtake things, to enslave us. And the beauty of it is our Constitution prevents this. That's the beauty of what we have in this country. Because otherwise you're going to go through the stuff that Canada's going through. Alberta has already officially, if you watch my page, Alberta, Canada's already got something on the ballot to separate from Canada and become independent. It's not a joke. Ireland's standing up. France is standing up. They've had enough with these forced relocation programs. And they're doing the same thing. These are people that are not productive to countries. Not at all. They live off of welfare systems, and they're not productive or add any kind of thing to the country, but they can sure as hell get those grants and get those other things that are, these world organizations, the WHO, the WEF, and all the other ones that, here, let's force you to give these monies away to be part of this, where they're going to make a rule. And that's a one world order type thing. That's not independence. Our constitutionally strictly forbids for anybody to have any control or say, except for we, the people of the United States of America, who are the government. Now, those traitors that are over there with the UN right now, with the things that are going on in Ukraine and everything else, oh yeah, they're going to be held accountable, because what they've just done over there is treason. And I guarantee you something else is coming down the pipe when it comes to that. So, I mean, it's just amazing with the stuff that's going on. I think Danielle's back there. Back there. You coming out here? I don't know. There she is. Bring yourself in, girl.
What's up? Over here.
Constitutional stuff, man. I mean, it's we're talking about the raid that just happened earlier today in Minneapolis, Minnesota, that people were mislabeling as an ICE raid, but DEA, Department of Homeland Security, FBI, and all this other stuff. And, they assumed it, and there was a huge, raids, and they were trying to do it. And the one guy said, oh yeah, I talked to one guy and says, oh no, they were busting up a human trafficking ring. And it's like, guys, wake up. They're after MS-13. They're, all these have been declared terrorist organizations. They don't need a warrant. It's a no-knock warrant. Do you have to produce a warrant to do any of this stuff with a no-knock warrant?
No.
I ain't gonna tell you shit.
They going in. Yep.
And that's what they were doing. And now,
is that what they were doing in the sanctuary cities?
Yeah.
Hey, Louise.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. Here, you guys want this? Here, I'll give you the link. You can go watch the rest of it yourself. And I'm going to put it in the comments here. You guys can go watch that again and look at it. I mean, it's real. It's boots on the ground. My
friend in Canada. Oh, sorry. I'm just reading the comments.
Yeah, illegals for flood. I'm hearing it all from Canada.
Wow.
Canada's got it done. Alberta is ready to become free and start getting some weapons. That's exactly what Alberta wants. They want their guns. They want guns. They want to protect themselves. Canada's been telling their people, hey, put your key fobs and all this and England and everything else. Well, put your key fobs by the front door so when they break in their door, they can just steal your keys and then come in. Versus here in America, oh no, hell no. They break into your house, shoot the hell out of them. Matter of fact, we encourage it. Whole different situation, isn't it?
Have you heard of the trafficking kids within families?
Oh yeah, there's a girl actually on a couple on Facebook that I talked to that their husbands trafficked them, their father trafficked them.
Yep.
Absolutely. So I expect, they're saying that this is the beginning of mass riots,
mass fires. So it's
everything else. But let me tell you something. It's not going to be pretty, because here's the thing: if you're going to stand with those people, you're going to stand against the Constitution. Because if you want child traffickers, fentanyl distributors, and everything else, let me tell you something. You have now, under the Constitution, you have given aid to the enemy. You have just committed an act of treason. So y'all better wake up, especially those that are sympathizers and everything else, because you're going to catch that charge. Because they're done playing. No more sympathy, no more of your feelings, no more of that other stuff. This is the law.
They're not playing anymore. Nope.
An enemy of the United States, and they have been labeled as such, and find them in your house or anything else, guess what? You just lost everything you've ever worked for, your bank accounts and cards.
They'll put a freeze on everything.
You're done. You're frozen. You talk about hurt. Oh, no, you're a traitor to this country. You're a traitor.
Within your family, Luis.
So, no, it's not a joke. I'm dead honest with you. I'm over this. I mean, and a lot of Americans are. This has got to stop. If you want to stop CPS from taking kids, we got to take the whole system down. All of it. Every bit of it. You got over 500,000 children missing.
Right.
Missing because of this trafficking. And if
And
you
you know
support that, you're a traitor.
right? And you know the adoption numbers are like they said are the most adoptions or something in 20 years. Like that's the only data that
They
is
are trying
getting
to get kids out of this country as fast as they can to make as much money as they can. All of that is going down.
People are being TPR'd quicker than you know what. Like all of a sudden now, I'm hearing people, mom and dads hit me up that they're coming up for TPRs and.
Listen, you know the beauty of the Constitution when you have tyrants in there that are doing unconstitutional things. Do you know why the Second Amendment was called the Second Amendment and why it was put there?
What?
Because you have a right. You have a right to take down, even with force. A Constitution says tyranny and oppression.
Yep.
And if you don't think that this country is not capable of it, let me tell you what, it's going to be the shortest incident in history.
Yep. Because it's happening right now.
Well, think about it, Danielle. You realize only if you took Michigan and you took Wisconsin, those two states with just the registered hunters outnumber any other area in the whole United States. Now there's 48 other states.
And then Georgia.
Let alone you start getting down south of the Mason-Dixon line.
Down here.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Guns and guns and ammo.
Guns
and
galore. Texas. Texas is another one.
Texas, huge.
Yeah. It's yeah. I mean, they don't play
control of this. We have got to stop it. Yes, CPS.
It's getting
and the things that are going on that we fight for here is tied to drug abuse, to drug trafficking, and human trafficking.
Yep.
And if you're going to stand up for criminals like that, or you're going to sympathize them with them, I'm not calling you a traitor. The Constitution calls you a traitor.
Hey, Brendan, are you talking about anyone in particular? Have you voiced, or just them?
Well, I mean, you've got people that will turn around and be angry. Oh, well, screw Isaiah. Listen, you didn't even, we've had people come in and then get butt hurt and then leave the show. And I'm sure some people have turned this off after a certain point with seeing and getting advertised. But it changes the story from an ICE raid for illegals to it was a human trafficking raid, didn't it?
Yeah.
When the truth came out. So
yeah, because here in Georgia, when they went after when they were doing the ICE raids, it turned into they found trafficking rings. Swear to God, right here, even in the city right next to me in Cartersville, Georgia, where the sex trafficking ring was going on, that I almost got caught up in when I was 16, 17, in 2002 to 2005. So with Hardbody Harrison, he's in prison now, and and it's right here next door to me. Like I'm right, so. And that was an ICE raid.
People better wake up because it's happening in your county, in your city.
They found it close to home, right in the same area that it was over a decade ago. Over 20 years ago. Yeah. That an actual sex trafficking ring was going on when I was doing wrestling. I thought it was wrestling matches and practicing, and thank God my mother stayed stern on me because that's what saved it. Yeah. She was not signing that contract.
Take over for a little bit. I got to return a call real quick and just stay on the line. Let's talk a little bit more about what was going on there in Georgia and some of those things. Just continue from there.
Well, okay. I don't know. Hey, everybody. Hey, how y'all doing? So, y'all, today, I'm sorry that I did get on for like a few minutes. But trying to watch the time. Okay, I'll tell you what happened today. So on the Tiff and Punisher show, it was doing fine when they first started, but all of a sudden, had a technical difficulty with the networking or the program, the site, and he couldn't get on, and then once it made the connection again, it was a network issue. That's what it was. Yeah, big time. I know that they're listening. They listen to us. But no, he just couldn't get on, and the show Tiff said they'll continue on tomorrow. So is there a way we can help stop it? That's what we're doing. We're stepping up and voice yourself, voice your story. Just the more you shout out, the more they can hear. Because people, they're people don't realize the truth to a lot of these things going on. And they don't realize, like here in Georgia, I'm going to tell you, in 2000, let me tell you my story. All right. It is true. This guy was a wrestler for WCW, a pro wrestler for the WCW back, and I believe his name is Hardbody Harrison. You could look him up. He was a wrestler. He got fired from WCW. I was still in school, and this was like 2000 to 2002. Okay, I didn't know until after the fact. No, read Luis's comment above. Hold on, let me. Which comment? Tried to watch The Punisher. Which comment? Oh, your mother. Oh, Luis. I saw that, Luis. Okay, this is within my family. Has it been reported? Have they? What's going on with that, Luis? Has that been ever looked into or anything? That's sad. I'm sorry that's Luis. I'll talk to you after the show. Yes. Yeah. So Tiff and Darren, there's the network issue, but they'll be back tomorrow. Yeah, or today. Today, it was just a network issue, and it wouldn't make the connection. Like, it could have been anything, but I know that the networks have been messing up because mine, like when my live, it was giving me problems when I tried to get on. Hey, Dr. Death, how are you? So yeah, it was giving me issues so I can only get on for like 10-15 minutes at that, and I just wanted to make my appearance. But Luis, I'll definitely, that comment you made, get with you on that if you want to talk about it on here. But yeah, that's not cool, at all, and that would definitely be an area to. Did you see what Luis wrote? Did you see what Luis wrote?
What's
about
that?
if you go look at the comments? I don't want to put it on, but this one right here, just go look at. I don't want to, but yeah, you read it. Okay, and then they're asking how it can be stopped. Okay, so is Gunner done? No, Gunner's back. He just was down for a minute.
Listen, here's the thing: as grown adults, we can even agree to disagree. That's once again, that comes with it. But that's fine with me. And once again, I'm not an advocate. I am not a once again, I'm not a lawyer or anything else. I am a international independent journalist.
Naylor got his
press.
Yeah,
just got his. He sent me.
I'm working on mine. You're welcome.
So this is just the news, and when it comes down to constitutionality, whether you like it or not, you live in this country, and you have to abide by those constitutional laws and those federal laws, whether you like it or not. Unless you want to do those things traditionally.
A lot of people don't realize that, people that we look at every day are people that when we go out in public or it's going right before our eyes, and we just don't. That's how secret this stuff's being kept. I was almost a victim. I was a victim, but to sex trafficking. My mother did not sign. The guy was, and he played as though it was a wrestling gig, because he had got fired. He was a pro wrestler, and then he was in the Tough Man concerts. I think that's what they're called, Tough Man or whatever. And he sued. Yeah, that's it. And he sued WCW and got like $1 million and gig. And I thought I was just the valet, like the ring girl, but really he was trying to. And my mom, he wanted to meet up with my mother. So for me, my mom did it. I asked her and she did it. I was too stupid to realize what really was going on. I was just young and just the attention, And no, he was actually holding women hostage in in the basement of his home. But they were victims, really. They were victims because they were women that maybe was just recovering, being a recovering addict, and had lost everything and was trying to get back up on their feet. And he would use their downfalls and their hiccups, and come to find out, and there was like not yes, and fix, and these women, these people that, and I've seen them every day, Monday through Friday. I would go. Well, it was Monday.
Everybody can have whatever you say, but until you've seen the pictures or from international child trafficking rings, or you've been in places to where, as
it's horrible,
as a first responder or anything else in there where you've seen it firsthand and this and that, all I can tell people is you don't even have.
I seen it. I didn't realize it though. I seen it. I didn't realize that's what it was.
When you go in to rescue children or anything like that, and you see that firsthand, and then you have other people blah, blah, blah in your mouth, you know what? Be there on the front line then. Go do this. Go see it for your damn self, and then tell me you sympathize with any of it, because you won't. It'll turn your stomach. You probably won't even last a day at it. That's
my mother. When my mom met this guy, she.
What'd you say? How many people wash out? How many people wash out or quit when they see things like going into some of these homes and seeing the children abused, or seeing them starve to death, or seeing them traffic, or watching it and walking in on a underground sex ring or something like that, where they're literally raping the children as they're raiding the place, and you walk in and they catch them with all this other stuff, and you're going to turn around and tell me, oh well, I don't like this, I don't like that. You know what? Those are the people that take and stop this. And if you listen to the end of the video, it was a human trafficking raid with drugs and fentanyl and everything else. If you sympathize with any of that, one, you're a disgusting individual. And that's what it comes down, because you're condoning all of that. Well, they were this, they were that. I don't want to hear it. Go in there and see this firsthand. If you're so pro to do all these things, then that means you're for everything else they're doing.
Think about it. If a woman, if there's a woman or a man, it could happen to either sex.
Either one.
If they are an addict, an active in addiction, and they are desperate to get that feeling, and they don't have, and they'll also sell themselves. You know, and these, and it's messed up, and we don't realize. I mean, we could have people that are in even our own neighborhoods. It's that messed up. I mean, come on.
You know, Danielle, you know what I heard? You know what I heard that just blew my mind with one was somebody that was an addict, got clean. CPS got involved, and she was clean. There was nothing wrong, did everything they were supposed to, was clean for a long time. They brought up her past, and the day they TPR'd her, it was the next day, that very day, fell right back into drug abuse. So you know what's causing drug abuse? CPS.
I mean,
and alcoholism.
There's a lot of
it pushes people into those spaces.
I
They
mean,
have nothing left to work for.
think about that. There's parents unaliving themselves because of this, and because it's just so. I mean, that's your heart. That's your world. I mean, it's not like parenting comes with an instruction manual. Neither does life. But you know what? We're living it, and we're enjoying it, and we were fine. Why do y'all? What's?
And here's the reason you watch it, and here you look through history. Let's go through history. What did you see break down first? Community.
Yeah.
Neighbors. All that other stuff. Remember back when you was like a little kid, most of us that are older.
You know, we used to bring some water out of the hose bib.
The neighbors over here, hey, your kid's over here fucking up.
Right. Communities were together. The crime watch, the neighborhood crime watch. Yes. Yeah. Revolving doors.
You know what they're doing? You know what they're doing after that? Then they went after the family. And then they went after the kids. And it was systematically throughout our history as those institutions came out. Why?
And it's just got more and more.
What does it perpetuate as they grow up in those environments? Prisoners.
Prisoners, yeah.
How much money they get from the federal government to house criminals?
Yeah, a lot.
They're all in this network together.
I was just talking to somebody about this. Because we were talking about the different states and the unified systems they got, like unified police and unified justice.
What'd you say?
You said that was the program that they were, there was a slush fund for everything.
And I don't understand how they can even, it's not the police, the law enforcement, like they're all in cohorts together. But then when and it's just it's sick. It's sick.
It's very sick. And when you take and condone, or they find a way to make you sympathize with one aspect of it, that's how they get along. It's a zero. You've got to have a zero tolerance policy for all of it.
You gotta have
Bottom line.
no heart. No. That's why the emotions can't get the best of us.
Once again, that's why the law is the law.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't care how you feel. It doesn't matter how you think. It doesn't do any of that stuff. The law is just the law. And there's the problem with the family courts that everybody's bitching about. Why? It's emotional court.
Yeah.
There's no law to it. There's no constitutionality.
Individuals run it, and the responsibilities of this.
No. And these are the same people, and a lot of them too, that you realize that are the sympathizers, are the ones that are the foster parents, the abusers, and all these other things. In a lot of the cases that are getting what? Sitting on their ass, not doing a thing.
Getting paid using the kids as a hustle to make their gain.
Man, I know one girl that turned over for a foster care. It's like, oh, I took in 2 kids and I technically work for the state now. And I'm like, wait a minute, what? Oh, yeah, I make so much now. Now I can go apply for what? A house? Because I get a government check.
Look at
6 months.
Look at the ones that, like with my kids, guardianship and kinship is, the kinship comes with the funds, supposedly. Guardianship doesn't. Okay.
Right.
Well, all of a sudden, guardianship back in 2011, let me tell you, there was no funds. There was nothing. That was what you called a true blue family. Like that's tight knit family. They stepped up when I asked for help, and that's what's up. It wasn't about money. It was about the safety, security of my children, and we were family. We had a strong family bond. To now, guess what? Kinship, it's money involved, and now they don't. That's what greed, selfishness, but it involves children, and the familial bonds are breaking up. Nothing's like it used to be. There's no morals, no values, nothing.
It's cultural genocide. Bottom line, I don't care what you call it. It's cultural genocide.
All about
removing everything your family believes in, their religion, their history, and everything else.
If they don't have a dollar sign on it, they ain't happy. And that's just absolutely, I mean, for someone, especially children, to ever even, like, let's say a teenager, for instance, I'm horrified. Like my daughter, she's going off to college, and I'm just like, look, I dare somebody to, and because I promise you, I will be watching. Yes, because I will be Mama Bear, because I ain't playing with these people. I ain't playing with these motherfuckers. They ain't gonna. Try me. That's all I got to say. Try me. I'm in the woodworks. My daughter knows. My kids know. I've always been this way. Always. My kids needed me. I would be there. Every step of the way, and I have always been. I don't give a shit who said that.
And like Darren said, as soon as they're TPR'd, just like things like that, they're in the system, nobody cares about them, and the parents can't do anything. So all that parental concern and everything, or that sense of protection for that child, has been stripped. They've accomplished their goal, and now they can program the child and the next generation to be what they want to do, and they're going after the ones that are, once again, low income. Now they're into the middle class because they're out of kids. They've got all the low income. I mean, as soon as they have babies, they got them set up in the hospital to steal babies. Right away, we're taking your why you've been on drugs. Oh, you had a history 5 years ago of a minor drug bust for marijuana. Well, there's this in your system. Well, wait a minute. Did you give a C-section, or was it natural birth? Oh, it was a cesarean. Did you get an epidural? Yes. Did you get the ingredients for the epidural and everything else in there? Yep. Oh wait, but the mom tested clean, and the baby. Oh well, we checked the umbilical cord. That's a Fourth Amendment violation. Did you have a court order? Whether you're a mandatory reporter,
But
you
think
just
about the
why are
epidural.
you not suing the hospitals?
Right. Right.
Civil violation.
They're just when they're shopping for kids, and it's crazy, and they think that even like today, the county that I've been dealing with, the lady, one of the people that works for the courts, she's now titled as a DFCS liaison. Why? Hey, Brad, welcome in, my friend. This guy, this is Brad. You see him? He's a teacher. He's a teacher. This is the one. Hey, we're talking about the same thing we've talked about in my chat, bub. Brad, it's good to see you. Remember?
We're covering a little bit of some of the things that are going on in Minnesota and Minneapolis that was mislabeled as ICE raids and come into it was a human trafficking.
Human trafficking.
How it was and DEA was there because of the fentanyl and MS-13 and everything else, and everybody gets buttered on it.
This is a gentleman that came into the live when I was talking one day, and he stated and we actually learned a lot, and he's a teacher, and he said, I was the first person hi there, I didn't think, yes, I do remember you. I still talk about you. Yes, I do. I got you. And I said, we all, huh?
Yeah, with the mandatory reporters. Yeah.
Yeah, and they have to tell the admin, their admin, and there's a person in the middle in the schools. But he said that I was the first one he ever seen or heard of that hated CPS. And I said, and that's what led the conversation. And we learned a lot from both sides. And he's got to see a lot of, because, Albie was in there, everybody in the chat usually comes on the shows, and we got to share our stories, and he got to see our side of, what really, because they don't see that. They don't see what really goes on with these CPS people.
Well, they don't realize that their own school system is having parents sign particular paper for what they call the school rules or whatever at the beginning of the thing. And within that, you're signing away your rights to your child while they're in their custody. So that allows anybody, CPS, law enforcement, anything else, to come in there unless you send your child with something to say, hey, I have constitutional rights. You do not have a right to talk to me. I am a minor. You must get permission from my parents regardless. And that's, that's one of the things. We have a national, we have a lawsuit, a federal lawsuit to expose all the constitutional rights violations that that a lot of people in the system are not respecting constitutional rights of illegal search and seizure. And yes, children do have constitutional rights. And we have the right together under the First Amendment and several others, but they just walk over them that says, well, it's in the best interest of the child, but not to break constitutional rights. We went through that during COVID-19, that constitutional rights at the end of it is never suspended.
Stockholm Syndrome is very common with parental alienation. It's just almost just like it.
They are, it's cultural genocide. Well, that person was a bastard. Do you know how much money they spend on this CPS system and everything else, that if they actually gave it to the parents that were struggling or added a lot of those things, that it would help them? But now it's forced. But then they say, well, now we have government programs or government counseling. Where's my freedom of choice to pick my own doctor and my own this and my own that? Allow me to have it. Don't put the money in my hand, but give me a voucher or something to go to somebody that is independent and is not part of this and not on a list. Maybe I don't agree with you. Maybe I have certain religious beliefs.
So
who can sue the kids? You have to have an attorney if your children are under 18. Dr. Death, by law.
What if the kids are still in the system and they're over 18? And there's nobody speaking up for them.
Yes, they can sue. They can sue themselves, but if they want to go pro se sue juris, they absolutely can. But a lot of people are not equipped, and you got to understand. Everybody says, "Well, I can't." The reason why is, and I hate to tell you this, Brad, is public education, because they fail to educate our children of their constitutional rights and what is actually and how it works within our system. And that's a scary thing. And if you don't believe me, how much of your graduating class, I'm sure you guys have just graduated, can read the original Constitution in cursive, as well as the Bill of Rights or the Federalist Papers, to know their rights.
I don't
but
know
yet
it.
they were getting federal money. So you really need to think about, you know,
I don't
those
know if he. I
were
don't know
really
if he realized, like, sees how deep. You know what I'm saying? Like that side.
It goes
And he may.
very deep. They're in public education.
It
Department of
goes.
Education is in on all of this. And a lot of schools have taken and brought back that, and a lot of independent schools have. But you do realize that we used to teach gun safety in class in schools.
They
They
don't
would
teach that anymore.
have the sheriff's department come into your public school and do a gun safety course, literally on all of it. Even when they got older, there were shooting teams. They, you know, the idea was to allow them to understand these things if you ever needed it. Why? Because of the Second Amendment. Why are we not educating all kids? And a parent says, well, I have a right to that. There's a Second Amendment. You're infringing now upon that child's Second Amendment right to learn how to use firearms and make their own decision. See, once you become an adult, the idea is free thinking, independent thinking. We don't teach that anymore. Matter of fact, we suppress it.
Like, remember, I think home ec used to be in high school, home economics.
Well, I mean, you used to have home ec that would teach a lot of things for both boys and girls. You had to learn how to cook. You had to learn how to sew.
They sent us home with a little baby, and the baby told on you if you didn't date. Oh yeah, that was part of the grade.
That's crazy. You ever been? And now what happened? What shot up, Danielle? When they quit that?
Schools.
Teenage pregnancies.
Oh yeah, what shot? Oh, I thought you said what got shot up. Oh yeah, teenage pregnancy. Look at 16 and Pregnant. That new show, and I mean, it's like the young.
Because what did it do? It scared some of the younger things of the actual responsibility of taking.
And more kids are getting pregnant that are in school, like now than back when I was going to school. I have noticed that.
You have kids.
I do.
Game over. Your life changes completely. Your perspective changes. Something in your mind.
Can parents sue on behalf of their children? Even
they
if
must
they're
have an attorney to do so. Dr. Death, it cannot be done pro se sue juris.
The parents cannot do it pro se.
Not for the children. You can do for yourself, but if you have minor children on that, they must have an attorney for minor children. That is federal.
What about adult children?
Like I said, once they turn 18, they can do the same, get an attorney, or do pro se sue juris. But they have to be able to.
They have to be able to speak for themselves.
To do something in the court.
There you go. The Second Amendment doesn't guarantee. Brad said the Second Amendment doesn't guarantee firearm access to everyone. It just guarantees the general right for the guy to not infringe on citizens' rights to defense.
Brad, I would actually recommend you go back to the Federalist Papers that were written, and the Federalist Papers are our founding fathers that put their thoughts on how they wrote the Constitution and some of the debates and conversations they had, such as things as separation of church and state. That does not exist, and that
he said he's not.
No,
not
I'm not
trying to be rude. Oh no, he's cool. he's.
I'm not attacking you. I'm just telling you these are the facts of the system, and it should frustrate all of us. It really should. I mean, but when you have the point of you can't take and say you have firearm training or firearm safety in a school, but you can have sex ed class and you can hand out a bunch of rubbers.
So look, so Brad, he comes from, like, when he come in my live, Gunner, he comes from a totally different, like, the side that does not, they are masked to all this. Like, they don't see, like he said right here, most people he knows can read cursive and have taken at least 3 law classes.
Okay.
So I feel like that. So I mean, we got to see. So the average person doesn't realize how.
So let me explain something, Brad. Not every county, state, or community has this issue, but it is a overwhelming issue across the country. I'm glad, and once again, I'm very happy, and I'm very behind those teachers that would teach free thinking, cursive, math, arithmetic, and all this political shit, you can just throw it the hell out because
Do
we
they
don't
still
need
teach
anything else.
cursive in school, Brad?
I'm hearing this.
I don't know what grade. I don't know.
He's saying he can read cursive and everything else. But the thing is, that's great, Brad. But I'm sure you got that at a younger age, that you were taught that right alongside, I would assume, right alongside printing. So you learned how to print, and then you learned how to do cursive right after that. That was some of us older. But I'm talking about the graduates in the school that you're in. Can they take and do those things and actually know their rights? I mean, they have a 1 semester class, usually called government or civics or whatever it was called, and they breeze so fast over it. You should be teaching your children constitutional rights throughout the whole public school system, through the whole thing. I mean, by the time they hit 5th grade, they need to start learning constitutional little bits and pieces along the way. That's how they get to learn their rights.
They told my daughters. Because I know, like, when I was going to school, the subjects were like social studies, science.
So, Christy, let me tell you how to attack that. It wasn't allowed anymore. You tell them, congratulations, you just violated my First Amendment rights because my religious beliefs or my core belief system and what my family believes actually does produce that. And whether you agree with it or not, you have to accept it, because unless the public school system or your state curriculum, like my daughter, I taught her mathematics a different way compared to, because that's when what I like to call Common Core or Common Core, that was just trash, a whole new way of doing math and everything. I go, my daughter doesn't learn that way in this, but the state's requirements was show your work and have the correct answer, which she met that standard. And literally they were looking to hold her back in school because they weren't doing it the way that they were saying, you must do it this way. Not everybody's the same. And if you're a good teacher, you understand you have a multitude of students with many different methodologies and ways of thinking, and not one particular methodology is going to apply, which is why they took the power away from a lot of teachers in areas and don't actually let you teach each individual students as you see fit with that freedom. That's why when Common Core came out, do you know that was when there was a huge mass exodus within public school system of teachers, and they either went into private schooling or other schools like this, or they became tutors and helped the homeschool groups. But you got to understand, it's all about federal money. When you're in public education, do you know how much money you get? I mean, it's all government funded. But here's the other thing with public schools. You lose your culture. You lose your family history. None of that stuff is brought in to celebrate the idea of America is where America.
So they removed the Common Core standards in schools in 2010.
Yep.
So we had.
We went through it for about, I think it was about almost a decade in some places.
So they.
Yeah, that was rough, man. I mean, the way that they were doing it and all these other things. And here's the other thing. When you learn some of the other methods, how China does it and this and that, and some of the cross method, this and that is so much faster. And people go, that's how they're so smart. They've learned the little shortcut trick. Well, why don't we take that's excelling in mathematics and use their same methodologies? That's the beauty of this country. And that's okay. And like I said, that doesn't happen, Brad, in every place. And you may be in a great state with a great community and everything, and some of those things like that. But to understand, not every kid is getting that same opportunity that maybe some of your students are. But once again, we need to celebrate more of our, the melting pot theory is the best of our cultures and our citizens. The best of all of those rise to the top and go on.
So what is your current experience with the school system?
I've had 3 kids graduated from public school system. And I am a product of public education as well. And it was, by the time I hit high school, it was a waste of my time. I learned nothing because I had already absorbed. They didn't know what to do with somebody that excelled fast and has my particular curses, if you will, to absorb and everything else. I speed read. My wife will tell you I can finish a book this thick in probably about 10 minutes. I speed read, full retention, everything else. Advanced mathematics, nuclear mathematics, four-dimensional mathematics, string theory, all of those things. It's not hard for me. For other people, like, I gotta slow down.
Like, not just what you've seen online, but like any undeniable proof that these things are.
My kids right throughout school system. My kids, my other people's kids, as we were growing up, several of them going through that. Even my own personal experience, this is absolutely true. And like I said, I'm glad that your children in your area have a great thing. Your claim that schools don't teach these things anymore is really incorrect. No, that is not true, Brad. You really need to go around and understand other states and everything else, and whatever their state is, they don't. My son, all of my kids graduated, and they couldn't read cursive. Not at all. They didn't teach it at all in school.
I know that some schools, it's not universal, but they leave it up to the individual district to teach.
Okay, let me address this. Brad says this: cursive is not very common anymore. So why would we keep teaching it when we can spend more time on teaching current skills? Let me explain why.
Do they not have the Common Core standards?
You cannot read. I get it's your job. Listen, if you cannot read the original documents, okay, the original documents in cursive, that is how they are adapting. You cannot understand your rights.
Tell him what you mean by original documents, because he's.
Well, I mean, in cursive, everything was written in calligraphy. The Bill of Rights, the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, the Federalist Papers. Yeah, you can say that, oh, well, we can make that into print, but you know that they've already caught them already trying to change the wording?
Fear-mongered?
No, not fear-mongering, man. I've seen it firsthand. I've had arguments at school boards, the entire thing with all of it. And here's the other thing for cursive, under the legal aspect of it, you can't contract, dude. You can't print your name on a contract. It's not legal. It's not a signature.
You said, have you read it in the original?
I have. I've actually been where it's actually stored and read it myself firsthand. So yeah, I'm fully aware. And like I said, you're very privileged and and like he said, very fortunate. And my hat's off to you and your community that and if you have, then is there any difference with the original text and the translation we teach in school? Yes, we have caught that. And that was done under, what was it, McGraw-Hill. McGraw-Hill had actually changed that, and they were caught with it and fined severely for it. If you're not familiar with that, and I'm sure you're familiar with McGraw-Hill. They are one of the biggest publishers of textbooks in this country.
McGraw-Hill?
McGraw-Hill, it's been, they're one of the major producers of those things. So yes, there has been inaccuracies. There has been changing in language or updating language or this or that. And a lot of, once again, if you're teaching those things, that's why I always tell everybody to teach the Constitution properly. A lot of it was Second Amendment, Brad. First Amendment, Second Amendment, and Fourth Amendment.
What about the Common Core standards that they took away? And some,
it was the methodologies and everything else. Some of the original writers of Common Core was actually even testified and even went before Congress to turn around and say it was designed because they were finding out that white students were becoming too advanced and becoming smarter than some of the other students, and they wanted to keep everybody on a level playing field or dumb them down. That's why Common Core was instituted, and that was one of the original founders that was caught doing that, and that's on the congressional record. So yeah, and understand that's one of the things that's not for you and I to decide, Brad. The point is that they need to have the ability to go see for themselves as an independent thinker instead of an independent researcher to say, yes, I can read it, and yes, I can understand or comprehend it, which is why I was saying earlier, this is why you use the Federalist Papers, because that goes behind the train of thought of the founding fathers of why they wrote it the way they wrote it and what they debated and reasoned why it should be written the way it was written.
They're saying that 25 states are making it being mandated to teach cursive again in public schools. So,
Brad, you can say what you want. As far as saying I haven't read it or anything else, no, it's not a headline. It's not that. I've been to several constitutional classes. I know several constitutionalist professors. Trust me, we have had several conversations on this from some of the very leading people in a lot of major universities. So no, it's not just headlines and I'm seeing this and that. Understand, I have to meet a standard. I am an international independent journalist. We have requirements and standards that we must research and confirm everything through there.
and for the record, the Federalist Papers are much more complicated than that, and it's not a very good argument.
There are several other publications that go with that, including letters that went back and forth between Benjamin Franklin and John Adams and several other things. But once again, that should be covered under your history class. I'm not disagreeing with you that it can be complicated. If you don't understand that, you don't understand the culture, you don't understand, you got to understand when we read it, we have to read it with the frame of mind of the time period. They didn't have all these things. Yeah, there was a lot of things we didn't know, but the beauty of our Constitution is we can adapt it and change it as it goes along.
Can you provide him any source for the word changes?
Tim McGraw, there was a case filed over it. You can look it up under the Library of Congress has got a lot of that stuff there where they changed the words for the Second Amendment for that, shall not be infringed. There was other words that were added to it. There was things for a militia where the definition of militia was gone through, and then they had added other words and other things to it. Freedom of speech and religion and some of those other things. There was things that were added to that.
What is that? Can you provide
on multiple things, even with that teaching material. That was well known all the way through what was the 1990s and the 2000s. Those were headlines. I mean, they're not. That was well known. No.
I'm trying to look it up. He wants you to provide a verifiable where they were found and
how I read it. How do I read it?
He was saying, can you provide me any resource for the wording changes, like a verifiable record that this happened and they were fined?
Oh, that was once again, Tim. Look it up. Library of Congress. It's Tim McGraw versus I think it was Department of Education, or a family that went against the Department of Education and or McGraw-Hill was the case.
Not Tim.
Well, Brad, like I said, we report on it. This is just the news. You want to do your own research. We're pointing you in the right direction, and we encourage everybody, go look it up, go down the rabbit hole for yourself, and let it lead your own way. And I understand, like I said, a lot of things that are there can confuse people, but you got to understand the culture. You've got to understand, everything else through there. I mean, give you one example that is misinformation, and especially in your history books, of the Boston Tea Party. That's not a true recollection of actually was what was being taught. If you know the true story of the Boston Tea Party was the fact that Great Britain had brought over some tea, and they had some black market tea from another country that was here that was much cheaper. And when England decided that tea was sitting there and it was going bad, we turn around and say, hey, we're going to take and we got to liquidate all this tea because it's doing no good. Well, then the people from that company, the pirates, if you will, went over and tossed all their tea overboard. It had nothing to do with what we've been taught it says to be, and that's documented in history. Well, I'm going to tell you, Brad, go down the rabbit holes. They're out there, and they're backed up with history. They're backed up with case law. It's out there. That's the whole thing. The suppression
on the McGraw-Hill one, who was the damages?
I don't know who the other person was on the thing in front of me.
It's
But
it's it's a doe. It's doe.
Yeah.
It's
Department of Education.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know that. I was gonna say I know it wasn't nobody bogus.
No.
But they
No.
filed. Hold on, Rose Panetta and somebody else. Let's see. So, who won that one?
Doe did. That's where they had to change it. It wasn't open to interpretation. It was what the court rules. You must print it as it says.
So McGraw-Hill got fined.
Yeah, it was a pretty big case. I think it was back in the 90s and the 2000s. And there was a lot of challenge to who was producing the thing between that and Common Core of who are we using to actually write stuff to teach our children.
This was 2020.
Yeah, there's a couple cases you got to dig through. There's a lot of them. There's certain groups out there that do publications and stuff that are constantly pushing the envelope to do this, so we don't know our rights. Sure.
No, we're not making you look like an idiot, Brad. Not at all.
No, trust me, it's that bad. I mean, when you realize there are groups and organizations that have looked to change our government and overthrow our government. I mean, it's not a joke. That was really and you want one great example? They shot JFK over this stuff. That was given. That's why that was released. Lyndon Johnson, you got to know all of that. They look to enslave us. I mean, that's what it comes down to. Yes, it can be done by, yes, absolutely. When you want a good source that has to meet the method, yes, go back to the Library of Congress. But there were several other publications that were putting their spin on what it says. And there's Chris in the background. Chris can tell you about it in Chicago. They were changing the textbooks in Chicago about that. Chris has seen that firsthand, what the Constitution actually says. Brad, right there's you another witness that they've actually seen it. And yes, there's a little bit of delay right there. The politicians were doing it. They were influencing this to gain control of the people. They forget that we, the people, are the government. The rest of these people are elected, appointed officials. They're not the government. We are. The power rests within the people, but that's not even taught. I mean, that's how bad it is. I mean, and they've tried this, and there's been many cases. Academic freedom, Sweezy versus New Hampshire, 1957. Schneider versus State, 308 U.S., 1939. You go to even some of, there's all sorts of cases about this. Slaughterhouse, Plessy versus Ferguson, Lochner versus New York. A lot of these things. Brown versus the Board of Education back in 54. I mean, this has been going on throughout our history of constantly trying to interpret constitutional rights and the amendments. It's going on and on and on. It's just, crazy because, there's people that want to say, well, the constitutional rights, it only applies to the Second Amendment, only goes towards the militia. No, the militia is we the people. You know who's supposed to head up and round up the militia according to the Constitution? Your local elected constitutional sheriff is supposed to, and to deputize you. That's who's in charge of the actual militia, or the militia, when it's done right. But we've lost all that history with the intent and everything else. I mean, when you think about police departments, they work for cities. They're not even elected officials. But like I said, it's happening in Chicago. It's happening in New York City. It's happening in Minneapolis. I mean, like I said, man, I am very happy that you, Brad, that you are in a good place and you guys are doing a lot of things probably the right way. But understand something. You change anything in there. I mean, listen, man, if you don't believe me, go look at the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals argument that in a CPS case where they were actually hiring people as actors to testify in cases to steal children, and they justified it. No, it's not read online, man. This is not online stuff. These are books, old-fashioned books, man, in the library. You can look this stuff up. I mean, and hey, that's fine. And that's your opinion, Brad. But once again, yes, you paid thousands of dollars. Doesn't that piss you off? I mean, to think about it. I mean, do you realize places like even look at 7th District? Chris knows all about them, the cases and everything else that's going on. So do several other people. Harvard was just busted for all the stuff and the things that they've been teaching. I mean, come on, Harvard, Ivy League. Hey, man, listen. But at the same time, Brad, let me ask you something. Yes, there was a push by public education to go to higher education things like college. But how much did they push the trades? Matter of fact, you said your trades programs go like this, didn't you, in your schools? And a whole lot of schools. I mean, the militia thing, well, once again, because it was misinterpreted that the militia were not the people. That's why they were talking about it being the National Guard. That's not true. That's not true. That is done by the state. The militia falls under federal jurisdiction, not state jurisdiction. That's what it's talking about. And it meant that we were able-bodied men and to take and women to defend our homes as we the people. For example, let me give you a prime example. If you have a law enforcement or CPS or anybody else that comes into your home, no court order, no warrant, no imminent danger or anything, it comes in and says, listen, we're here to take your children, or we want to see your children, anything else without those things. One, as soon as they cross the threshold of your home, their immunity is gone. They are a common criminal, which in the Constitution says, I have a right to defend my home with the Second Amendment against tyrants that enter into my home. There is so much case law on Fourth Amendment. And the reason for that is if you can't get it within the courts and justification, yes, you're allowed to defend yourself. That's why it's in there. And when you soften that blow to, well, that's okay, we'll allow somebody else to protect us or somebody else to do this. No, the Constitution says that's your responsibility as a citizen. That's the beauty of the Constitution. We, the people, have the power. But we've surrendered a lot of those safety nets for comfortability and given away rights. That's what this has been about. And like I said, you may not see a lot of that stuff that is not going on, but let me tell you something. There is a great movement across this country. The reckoning is here, and we're going back to the Constitution. And I'm going to be dead honest with you. A lot of people are not going to understand it because they don't know how to live free and live just under the Constitution. To give you another example, Brad, let me give you one great example. Have you ever heard somebody say that you've broken a state law or you've done this with a state law or a state law? Doesn't exist. Does not exist. Why? Because the power to make laws relies solely within Congress of the United States of America. States cannot make laws. They can have codes, statutes, and what's the other one I'm thinking of, Daniel? Statutes and codes, and so on. What is it? Statutes, codes, and somebody's going to have to help me out here. I'm having a. Look here, Brad. Look, Christy Amber is saying they quit teaching the Constitution in their school system. I mean, right there. No, I'm not suggesting the right to first-degree murder. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if somebody comes, let me put it to you this way. A stranger breaks into your house and wants to come after and kidnap your children. Do you not have the right to use your Second Amendment to protect your children in your home?
Statutes, codes, regulations? No.
Statute, codes, and regulations and procedure. Yeah, that's all.
Our standards, yeah.
Yeah, but no, I'm not talking about that. I'm saying as soon as they cross the threshold without those constitutional things, they are no more than a criminal. And it doesn't matter if it's law enforcement. It doesn't. And the Constitution and the federal courts stand behind what I'm saying. You lost your immunity when you violated the Constitution. You then became no more than a common criminal. That's what the Constitution says. Now, is that practiced within the states? Nope. Because they'll come in, hey, I need to come in and I need to see your kids. I need to come into your home. I need to evaluate you. You got to go. And here's the other thing. You know who's signing some of those court orders and those warrants? Judges that are not even legally allowed to even sign them. Because it has to be an Article 3 judge. Article 3 judge, not an Article 1. Yeah. So now you've got people writing illegal stuff all over this country. That's what's going on. I mean, it's crazy. Absolutely crazy what's going on. And that's what people don't understand. I mean, and yeah, I've heard a lot of it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's where you're talking about the 10th Amendment, where it gives the power to the states. Okay, well, when you have the powers that's not dealing with this and that, okay, let's go into the Constitution itself. What does it say, Danielle? We've talked about this several times. Article 3, Section 2, Clause 2.
It goes to the Supreme Court.
Who has original jurisdiction?
Supreme Court.
The federal courts. Then why are states, when you go into you versus the state?
Yep. The state can't be a party to the case. The state can't be a party.
Nope. But they're doing it.
Now,
original jurisdiction right there in the Constitution says what? Any case where the state is a party, defendant, or, the other word. I'm sorry, it's been a long day. But if you're in either part, if it says the state versus you anywhere, you're not even supposed to be in a state court. You have to be in a federal court because they have original jurisdiction. But do you know what the states are doing, Brad? They're holding on to the cases. They're fooling you and thinking, I have jurisdiction. I have this, I have that. No, you don't. That's part of some of the things we're exposing. No, you don't. I mean, how many kids have been robbed out of this and that when it says you versus the state or this and this? You're not even supposed to be in state court. Do you know why? The Federalist Papers talked about that. Because it causes a bias. No, Brad, that's the whole point that we're trying to make. There was two sets of governments that were within our country, one to try and take and overthrow it. And if you don't know about the two constitutions, I would definitely look down that rabbit hole, especially around the time of the Civil War, where at the end of the Civil War they were broke, and the people that financed, especially the North of the Union, which the South was financed by France and several other countries. There was a separate
1791 one.
Yeah.
I know it was ratified in 1791.
Here you go. Danielle, say the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God. What?
Did you just hear it?
One
I
nation.
pledge allegiance to the United States of America
I didn't.
and to
I'm
the
sorry, I pledge
republic
of
for
which
which
it
it stands.
one
There's
nation
two forms of
under
government
God.
right there in your pledge.
Right. Good night, Dr. Death.
There's your two forms of government right there within the pledge. You tell me it doesn't exist right there, even within the pledge when that came out, shows you there's two things. To the republic. Two things. The supremacy clause of the original Constitution still stands. You realize that any other contract that was done in absent to it or to try and void it is null and void. The Constitution is extremely clear on that. And yes, the powers that were done to it, what did it allow the states to take and turn around? But once again, they do exist in history. Go down the rabbit holes with those things. Look at Cooper versus Aaron, 1958. You've got tons of case law on this where those two have conflicted. But then the supremacy clause of the original Constitution always kicks in and wins. Every single time. States don't even, well, the state says this, and you go back to the 10th Amendment, we have the right. That's what Rooker versus Feldman tries to do in that particular case law. Yes, under the 10th Amendment, we have the right to do this and that. But that's for commercial stuff too. You know why? Because there's also case law that says what? All codes, statutes, and regulations are for what? Government only, not for we the people or the living person, because they what? Lack due process and are unconstitutional. So all the stuff the states that have been shoving down your throat for doesn't apply to the private citizen. But they've convinced you over a period of time. This is not nothing that has happened overnight. Okay, guys? This is something that has been going on for decades and slowly conditioning us away from that. And there's the point that we're bringing back the Constitution, and that's what's happening in our country. And Chris is just kicking out to you. You want to write this down or go back later? Look at all those case laws. You don't believe me? There's your case laws. Look them up. Troxler versus Granville, especially. Cooper versus Anderson, huge case. Monroe versus Pape, huge case.
But he's not trying to attack anybody. He's just trying to take.
I'm giving him some information, and Chris is assisting with the case law to come in. There's one, I'm on the show. I'm not in front of the information that I turn around and I take and actually, have with those. Unfortunately,
but tell Chris that he's not attacking anyone.
Yeah, he's not attacking Chris. Now, Brad, also understand too, I've had several heart attacks and stuff like that. Look, right there's my pacemaker star. Right there.
I understand you may study case law, Chris, but he's not
as sharp as I used to with those things. But like I said, give me some time. With some of it, that's why I get sometimes things get jumbled a little bit. And I miss words or something like that. That's just part of doing that.
The reason why
I love having this conversation with you, Brad. I mean, to be honest,
I
would
love
to have
it
you
when he
on
comes
the
in.
show. I mean, and really have those conversations because
no, he's learned, like he likes getting the both sides. You know what I'm saying? Like that's
the beauty of
what's cool about him.
The lost arts we've had, Brad, is the ability to debate in our country. It's either one or other of two, and neither side wants to budge. I love to have a good debate. I love to have that conversation. I love to bring those, hey, this is my point of view and everything else. And well, Brad, I'm just explaining, and I greatly appreciate. Thank you for your expressed concern there for that. But that maybe helped you explain why I'm doing it. I'm not trying to come up with this and that. No, I've read books. I've read millions of books. I mean, I just eat that stuff up, man. Like it's all my life. That's all I've done is eat information. Even like I said, even with several other things with
like Christy said, healthy debate. That's
a healthy debate. I love to have that conversation of why do you believe it? What's your stuff?
Mhm.
And Brad, I appreciate that you're on the side of CPS, but and that's the thing, that part of this federal case. Listen, I have a federal case, an active federal case showing treason and sedition to obtain children.
Okay, Chris. Nobody's saying that you're attacking.
We're just
I'm just
clarifying,
saying
Chris, that's
we're
all.
yeah. In
We're
the
just
way,
clarifying and clearing the air to
I
make
just
sure
wanted you
everybody's
to know, because I'm not saying I didn't say that. I didn't think that. I was just trying to let you know that Chris or Brad was in
we're
here.
having a great conversation,
Yeah,
Brad. Like I said,
because
I
he
would
has came
love
in on my
to
chat
have you
before.
here with me. I would love to have you here with the Punisher and with Danielle. And like I said, if you've got
Nobody was
others in this,
attacking anyone.
and listen, man, you're not the first person that say, listen, man, I spent $35,000 a year for college and higher education.
You're good,
and why
Brad.
didn't I get that information? You're not the only one, man. And when we start peeling the onion and showing really some of the things that you think are normal or are okay, and you realize that's not true, that's what's going on in our country.
And you see what he said?
And the manipulation.
And he see what he said? He said he appreciates
mad,
that you
dude.
took the time to tell him all those things, regardless of the way he thinks of them.
It's all good, man. I mean, I love, like I said, and I'm not mad. I'm a very high operational individual. I have a very, very high IQ, very high IQ. And it's one of those things, like I said, when I'm not kidding, I'll take a book and I'm done in 10 minutes. I take my wife to the bookstore because she loves to read, and she'll tell you the same thing. I can tell you the whole thing, the whole
Chris,
story.
you're totally taking it to another level, okay? So, I mean, you're totally taking it out of context. It was nothing like that. I understand case law. That's awesome. Nobody's saying, but the way he was, nobody was being attacked. Nobody was.
We're all cool. Listen, everybody, we're cool.
Everybody is cool. I don't know where he's going at that.
Understand too. I've worked in the trades. I'm a master electrician. And understand this. I have several certificates, qualifications, trainings, and this and that in several different things, including several infrastructure and everything else to understand things, nuclear energy, several other different types of energies. I'm certified in all standby generator systems to service them. I used to, and like I said, I'm retired now because of my health. I was the guy that they called out to make sure your infrastructure did not shut down. Major infrastructure, okay? Backup systems for hospitals and all these other things. Once again, it's just one of those things. I enjoyed and it always brought a challenge with electrical because it was always changing. Because a guy like me, I get bored very easily. And if you're thinking I'm yelling or I'm getting mad, no, I've just got a lot of frequency damage to my ears from being around very big motors and everything else for a long time. And there's places that you can go. You can put stuff in all you want, but sometimes you have to have your hearing.
But you get what he's saying, right? He said he appreciates.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that's why when that's why, like, when he came into my live, it was awesome. I just seriously recommend not exaggerating things because I'm on your side, but some people may not be so see how he's from both. Yeah. That's
and like I said, listen, I take and challenge her. That's why we give little breadcrumbs as we go along. Look here, look here, look here, look here. And those little things, and go do your independent research. I always am one for, listen, if you don't believe me, go down the rabbit hole yourself. Because then I can point you in the right directions of a lot of things to where, like I said, that's just huge.
That's what we like, Brad.
Man, I'm down for that. I am not one of those. No, I am not. Listen, man, I am not left. I am not right. I am right in the middle, and that's where I believe our country needs to be. We all have got to come to the table, have a reasonable discussion, get our feelings out of the way, and deal with these facts. This is what it is. This is the way we have to be.
Are you coming on, Darren?
Hey, there it is. Looks like he come back in.
Yeah. So
he's got it fixed.
But Brad is the one. He's learning both. You know what I'm saying? And it could be new information. Yes,
Listen,
and that's the
I'm a
teacher
firm
that I talk
believer
about
in
all the
the
time.
coin. There's three sides to every story: his, hers, and in the middle.
But what
Where the
I'm
truth.
saying is the way he come in my life, it was let Darren on. The way he come on my live, he was one like because he had never seen or heard like he didn't see the bad like with CPS, and that's why, and that's what
And
that led to
like Chris says up here, if we don't debate and have these open discussions, how are we going to learn
exactly.
anything from each other?
And this
Because
is that.
you're right. There are forces out there that are giving out bad information, giving out, you know, they've been trained wrong, they've been taught wrong, they've been institutionalized, and not had free thinking.
Oh, there's Darren right there.
Yeah, you're in, dude. You're just like all pixelated.
Yeah,
a
you're
little
in,
bit.
Darren. You're on. You're live with us.
Okay, well, yeah, no, man. I mean, I love the fact that we've had that on there. It's a great thing. Just going on, like I said, with CPS, there it's so dark, man. We're talking. We've uncovered an international child trafficking ring. I don't know. You can check out my page too, Gunning for CPS on Facebook, and look through some of those things that we actually post and we share of what's going on in our nation and what's going on with CPS and how all this stuff is spiderweb together, that there is something deeper and very evil of what they're doing, and realizing these are people that do it for money. I mean, that's the thing that will kill you the most, is especially when you learn about things like the help me out here, Bill Clinton under the Adopted Families Act.
It's lagging, Darren.
You got a little lag, but you can still move.
No.
Well,
His network still messed up.
Yeah, it's messed up. So you can look at the Clinton administration, and you have to understand. You go back a little bit further before that. Look at the Reagan administration. The Reagan administration shut down the sanitariums. Well, that was under
there
the
you are. You're moving.
Yeah, the Department of Human Services. That's who ran that. Well, when they cut off the money for the sanitariums, what did they do? The Clinton administration then incentivized CPS and let them out of just the sanitariums and let them loose upon the entire population. Then there was another executive order that was given out by Obama, and for propaganda and other things. No one can figure it out. Yeah, they may have to check your line coming out if the cable company has. If not, did you replace the router too, like you said you were doing? Now you're a little better.
Oh, we did. I can talk right now for a minute.
Yeah, it's just a slow speed. Like you're lagging very little. Like it freezes up. It's like,
hey, it may be the system that's trying to shut us
networks
down.
are messed up. Yeah.
Yeah, Chris has been digging down that whole network of the child trafficking. There's a lot, guys. I mean, if you know, it's just disgusting with what you have. I mean, if you want to talk about this, you know, some of that stuff, let's get
a lot of people are out of the loop.
Yeah, there's a lot. Let me get over to here, and
so his network is his network.
Yeah.
That's not. I know the networks have been messing up. I know mine was earlier.
Okay, so here, let me show you some of the work that Chris has got as far as some of this stuff here, and understand this is just a template. We have all the actual hard evidence, but this lays everything out. And Chris did a great job of it with what she was doing. But here, let me share this screen right here. Look at this here, and I'm gonna open this up. This talks about the history with the sanitariums, the orphan trains, the religious homes, and how children have been trafficked all the way back to the 1920s. You know, and some of the stories even go back to the late 1800s. Look at this, how all this is structured, and you can find this all on our page. And if you look, here's some of the hubs, the main hubs that are going through here. Look, you've got Knoxville, Tennessee, Harris, Texas, Polk County, Florida, Orange County, California, Arizona, Maricopa County. Darren says he's got it all the way back to 1666. But you know, all of this, look, all of this right here, and then you've got let's see. Let's go to the other one. And right here, if you don't see it, here's my page, Gunning for CPS. We've posted this. Now here's the network. Look at here. This is the main hub, guys. The main hubs. Now, other states are included in this, but these are the main hubs that they're talking about and how they go down. And they even listed the names of the companies. I mean, they go through here. I mean, how it's done, state contract. There's tons of this evidence. And this is what's been going on. This is how, you know, they've been doing stuff with, and I lost everybody. They're in the back there. Where the information come from? Well, I think Chris is still in here. If she's still in here, Chris has run through this all with the FOIA request. It's well documented. Yeah, the source of the data. These are just templates to go through. All of that stuff is going to, like I said, come out. We're working on it, like I said, with that stuff. But yeah, I mean, it actually takes, and let me see if it has it in here. Some of them actually did have, if you can see some of the, come on now. Where did it say? Now, this is some of the stuff she done. Now, if you look at, let me see if I can pull that back up. Look at this one here again. If you look, these are, you know, a lot of this is FOIA, you know, FOIA requests. These are state contracts. You can look these up. All these things are all under FOIA. Look, MAC, grounded by FOIA request. These are all confirmed under stuff that you are readily available to get a hold via FOIA. You know, FOIA requests, public, you know, these are public, you know, publications and everything else. These are things that are out there. I mean, you know, like I said, when you start going down the rabbit hole, I mean, it's, you know, and we're not, you know, a lot of this stuff, there's a reason that some of this stuff, we're not getting into it, to be honest, man, because you got to understand some of this information, it's going to get people killed. And understanding that's what the federal case is about. Some of this stuff, they don't want, we don't want them to cover it up. That's the whole point of going into that stuff. Have I looked into it? Yes. I've gone through, I've helped Chris with some of those things and some of the other things, and she's exposed some. That's the whole point of this group is you've got a little bit here and a little bit here and a little bit here and a little bit here, and this person has input. Well, look down this rabbit hole. Does this connect with this, and how they overlay? And that's where, you know, you find the overlays and everything else. So yes, our entire team here that's exactly what this whole CPS Breaking News Network is about, is sharing that information and knowledge and going down those rabbit holes. I mean, as far as the things with the Catholic charities and everything else, yeah, I've seen it firsthand. I mean, growing up in the Chicagoland area, yeah, the Catholic schools, yeah, dude, it wasn't a joke. I mean, they were trafficking those kids. The priests were abusing those kids in Chicago. I mean, firsthand, you know, experience with people I personally knew. Yes, we actually have the proof. I've seen the documents. Like I said, some of those things, it's going to be, you know, in our court case. That's the whole point. But understanding if this is released, it's enough to get people killed. I mean, it's not a joke, Brad. This is a very dark, deep network, and yes, they'll kill people over this. I mean, they killed, you know, here. We'll change, you know, even the thing. I mean, have you ever heard of Nancy Schaefer? I mean, you know, go down the rabbit hole for Georgia, the senator in Georgia that tried to expose this. They killed her for it. Right here. You know, here in the backdrop. You know, right there. Look, who killed Nancy Schaefer? Go down that rabbit hole. I mean, go down the Nancy Schaefer rabbit hole. Right there will lead you to so many other rabbit holes. It's not even funny, let alone her investigation report. Go look it up. It's scary. It's real. Oh, I want you to, Brad. I would love for you to go look at it and come back and go, whoa, because when you look down the Nancy Schaefer hole,
that's in Georgia.
It's not a joke. It's not a joke at all. They killed that woman for that. They killed Paul Walker. They killed the lead singer for Linkin Park over the child trafficking. I mean, there's several other people they have killed over time, either, people that were well known and other people that weren't known. And people have got, they fear for their lives over exposing this, because if you're going to kill a U.S. senator, dude, I mean, seriously, if a U.S. senator is not safe from all of this and exposing this and whistleblowing it, that's bad. But now there's a change in our country, though. And that's the thing that makes the difference, is now they are being caught. They are being exposed. They are showing the money where it's being, misused, and people abusing the system. And all of that has been cut out now. Now there's no money. Yeah, the lead singer for Linkin Park was killed over child trafficking. So was Paul Walker. Absolutely. They were all going to expose it. There's a whole list of people, man. Google all that stuff. They were all involved in exposing that stuff, and they got killed for it. Absolutely. Hey, there you go, man. Run down that one, Brad. If you love Lincoln, I do too, man. I love Lincoln Park, being from the south side of Chicago. Listen, man, Nancy Schaefer and the lead singer for Linkin Park. Yeah. Oh, absolutely, man. Go down that rabbit hole. That one will go, holy cow, I didn't realize. Exactly. You know why? We have been entertained just like the Romans did for the Colosseum. What do you see all over the place? Sports, or internet, or this or that. It's all meant to distract us, man, and not keep us focused on what we really need to do. People worry more about the spread, or who their favorite football team or baseball team or whatever it may be have won, or if you're in certain areas that don't do a lot of professional, they do college, a lot of college, football or baseball or whatever it is. Brother, I'm not even going to answer that. I'm going to let you read it. Go down that rabbit hole. Go down that rabbit hole. That will set you up for, you're going to be down that rabbit hole for a couple weeks, if not a month, between Nancy Schaefer and the lead singer of Linkin Park, just right there, and how all of that is all intertwined. And listen, man, it's dark. It's bad. It's bad. That's all I'm going to tell you. He knew the lead singer of Linkin Park was exposing the child trafficking ring that was actually going on and still active today in Chicago. Chris will tell you all about it. He knew all about what was going on. I mean, you got to understand, these singers and other things, you got to remember Diddy parties, man. I mean, how do you think they were getting? I mean, here's the other thing with the Diddy thing. How are they getting the kids? CPS. Do you realize they were shipping kids all across the country to go to California for Diddy parties all over this country? Yeah. What's the girl's name? The one that, I want to say her name's Anna Smith. She's on Facebook. And then there's, Prince
Allie Carter.
His name, Allie Carter was another huge one. Epstein Island. It's all coming out that people just don't want to hear about. They much rather live their happy little lives, enjoy their barbecues, enjoy everything else, and just live their life. And it's much easier to turn a blind eye to all this stuff. Why? Because when you look at the ugly underbelly of all of it, it's disgusting to watch that this is actually going on in our country. And a lot of people can't even fathom or even begin to think there's no way that's happening in our school system. There's no way this is happening. Listen, you can look in it. I'll tell you what, even where I'm at now, look at this, Brad. Look up Blount County, Tennessee, and what's going on in Blount County, Tennessee, and Knox County, Tennessee. Teachers that were touching children for over 20 years, over 80 kids. You know what his conviction was for doing that stuff? 6 months probation. After that, his record's wiped clean. This system wants them to perpetuate more victims. Why? Because the more children that they can touch and get involved in, is more money for CPS. That's 80 new cases for CPS to make money. That's how sick this is. And they're protecting pedophiles. And it's not just, listen, it's not just schools, man. Yeah, it's organized religion. And it's not just the Catholics that broke news. It's Baptist churches. It's Church of God and everything else. Now you go into the fact that all these religious institutions actually are sponsoring, and you can look at it. You could be Baptist, Catholic, Lutheran, Church of God. It doesn't matter. Somewhere throughout the country, they are running a children's home somewhere in the country, and your head of your religious organizations make money off this. It's how they support it. How did he get caught? Because kids started coming forward, and it became so bad. He had been moved around several different schools in the same system, and finally the kids, and then all the other kids started speaking up, because the school system would brush it off and hide it and sweep it under the rug, and then they'd move him over to another school, and he'd do the same damn thing. They moved him around to just about every school, I think, in the system. I'd say all except for a couple, I think he said. But he had been bounced around for 20 years doing the same thing all over the county. And you know what that meant for CPS? Money, 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 money. What did that mean to the court systems? They didn't care. Why? Let them loose, put a slap on their wrist. And what's he going to do? He's going to move to another state or to another county with that same teaching license, and all of that's expunged from his record. Now he's going to go do it again, because that's the way the system is set up to perpetuate this. And it's not just Tennessee. It's not. It's happening all over the country with these teachers, principals, coaches, youth leaders, youth pastors, clergy, all these different things. And it's always people, coaches, people that want to be around kids. That's why I was turned around. Listen, I applaud you for teaching in schools, Brad. But here's the thing. Fuck them kids. I couldn't stand to be around all those kids that amount of time that you're with. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm sure you got a lot of stress, and at the end of the day, I don't want to see a damn kid for a while. I don't want to deal with all their attitudes and everything else you've got to deal with. But you have people that seek them out and gaslight, manipulate, and are predators, and groom them to actually feel more comfortable. I'm sorry. There's got to be a thing. And like I said, that's where good teachers are getting a lot of bad names today. And listen, I knew some great teachers growing up. Listen, teachers that actually would teach the students. I mean, Danielle, you've had the same thing, some good teachers. We all remember a good teacher. You know who my chemistry teacher was actually a volunteer fireman. You talk about a guy that knew how to blow shit up and do all sorts of cool shit in class. And he was legally able to do it, not just under chemistry, but because he was a firefighter. Man, what a great teacher to have. I'll never forget him. And his name was Mr. Kish. Man, he was Greek. And his mom teach too. But at the same time, man, what an awesome teacher that would really inspire you to do something. And then you had other teachers, you could tell that they were just so wore out. They didn't care. They were regurgitating the same thing because the system had slapped the handcuffs on them. You can't this, you can't this. And now it's all about testing. And nothing, and the kids don't learn anything. But man, I
believe Brad is like the teacher that you just described. I believe his heart is really in, I do. And he's seeing a side of things that, like with the whole CPS deal, like he didn't know that. And that's what caught his attention on my live that night.
And there's good places with good teachers that have no clue. And usually those CPS systems that are there, they usually leave a lot of people in the community and this and that alone. You're in one of the nicer areas, we'll say, that isn't affected by that. And that does happen. They do target certain counties and certain states.
Low income.
Low income, middle income, this and that.
Poverty.
Absolutely.
He said you actually just described the actual horrors of the
brother,
system.
Hats off to you, man. Salute to you for what you do as being a good teacher. Absolutely. I will stand behind those all together that will say, yes, we need this and have that conversation of saying, yes, I actually care about my students. I care about their education. Tests are one thing, but if the students don't retain it other than how to take a test, they're not learning anything other than to regurgitate the same thing. They need to understand the whys and the hows and everything else. Those are the teachers I miss. And you got to understand too, a lot of teachers that are coming out of universities now are not the same. And I'm sure you've seen it if you've got a lot of young teachers in your school system. You're probably seeing some of the same thing, unless you have a really good school board that selects their teachers that are very similar to what you're doing. And some school systems do that, and my hat's off to them to do that. But understand too, man, it's rough. It's rough out there, and not everybody's the same. And we have got to get outside of our worlds and understand, just because of the place we live, we grew up, or this or that it's the same all across the country. It's not. If I go from here, where I'm in, this part here, and I go to Atlanta, Georgia, oh my God, or downtown Chicago, or live in the city, it's a whole different world, man.
A whole different.
Same way if I go to Texas. I mean, it depends on where you live. If you live in the agricultural community, there's a lot more agricultural education to support the farming communities. And like, we'll say Oklahoma and some of those other states that are there. Indiana's a big corn producer. You're going to get a lot of those ag programs because it helps to try and now CPS in places like Chicago, like Chris is talking about, they're moving up to the higher income and middle income. You know why? They have more money to spend. And how many people have become broke, because of those things? It's just in loopholes found in the school systems. And yes, I agree with you. And one thing we have an issue here in Blount County is the people that actually sit on the board that allow this shit, like allowing some of these books that should be age appropriate for children with some of the gender stuff. I'm sorry, man. No, not going to happen. Those books don't need to be in a library. Those are things for an adult. And for school systems to allow that kind of thing to come into the classroom or some of the other things, that's a personal issue. I'm sorry, that should not be in the classroom. Anything to do with gender this or gender this, it's supposed to be 100% as clean and clear, reading, writing, and arithmetic, okay, in history. Everything else, all the political stuff, to be honest with you, in my opinion, and I believe it, and that's the way it should be, because you're getting the federal funding. Everything is teach the Constitution, teach the history, the way it's, everything, inspire them to go down and read those things for themselves, of some of those things. A lot of people praise Thomas Jefferson for a lot of things, but they never look at Nikola Tesla. And do you know how much knowledge that they took by suppressing Nikola Tesla and his technologies that we are here today because of things Nikola Tesla was already aware of, how much further we could have been along, that was suppressed by certain people because they wanted control and power. Why? To make a dollar. Because we value a dollar over somebody else's life. There's the problem with people's thinking. Today, a human life isn't what it used to be 40 years ago, 20 years ago, 60 years ago, 70 years ago. People valued human life over money and objects. Well, once again, I believe, number one, the biggest issue, I think, if you're talking about devices mainly known for killing people, such as guns and everything else, and here's the statistics, is this: when we took out that education of guns in the classroom, what went up? School shootings. Didn't it? When you took out the education of gun safety and those type of things, of educating people, what went up? Now, the other thing that went up was what? These big school shootings and everything else. The one thing that they don't that they tell you about, Brad, did you know that all those kids had a psychologist, or I'm sorry, a psychiatrist that could that were prescribing mind-altering drugs to every single one of those school shooters? Do you know what the side effects that are of those drugs that they were given? Suicidal tendencies. They ain't going to tell you that in the normal news. They're going to say some kid went crazy off his rocker and everything else and shot up these schools and this and that. Every single one of them was actively involved in psychological care and was giving mind-altering drugs. Now, add that to what RFK is doing within our food. Combine those two. Do your research on every single one of them. Yes, Brad, every single one of them was under active care. Absolutely. Go back and look at it. They were actively involved with that, and they were on medications. Every single one of them, mind-altering drugs. And there's a lot of those things that were brought up during their court cases because they tried to do a plea due to the fact of the effects of the drugs they were on. That was part of their pleading. If you go look at their court cases, absolutely, they were on this drug, they were on that drug. Oh, well, this drug, that's temporary insanity plea, Your Honor, to get them off. Man, you add that to the food and the things that RFK is taking, and you guys know that have been with us for a while that they're uncovering. We've been talking about it for a while. The poison in our foods that changes your body, your brain chemistry, and everything else. Now add another drug on top of it that has those side effects listed on there.
Well,
I mean,
yeah, hey, like man, with my son, you know, there's parents out there like with RFK saying about autism. My son was normal, and we laid him down one night, and he woke up the next morning, and he went straight back to baby mode. And now RFK, and they said he had autism, but they can tell me why. And now I'm seeing other parents that have their kid was fine too, like from birth to about 2 or 3 years old. And my son, like, he was talking and potty trained, everything, just in one night, just went straight
till they got that booster shot.
And he did have shots. Stuff, yes, he did have vaccines. And he was, and boom,
all of a sudden they changed.
And he's had it ever.
There you go, Brad. Christy, get with Brad and share, post in there where you say that you've got the hearings on the porn books in the libraries, and go watch them. Post some links in there for Brad to get some research on this, guys. This is what we're doing, sharing information and knowledge.
Did John Kennedy or whatever, the thing over Louisiana, Brad said no. What's he saying no to? I'm confused. Yes, you can ask ahead, Brad.
I mean, you know, there's a little bit of delay, so we'll keep going a little bit. When did you give your children?
Like how long before that happened? It was 2 days before. Or no, because he had four vaccines that day in one day. And he started running a fever and stuff, but it was like he had it 2 or 3 days before that happened.
My kids were actually done according to the schedule, according to the pediatrician. Eventually, one of my daughters ended up with massive reproductive damage that it puts her in a high-risk pregnancy.
They couldn't tell me what was causing the.
Yeah, I mean, it was all through that shit. And another one took the COVID thing and become extremely sick.
What do you say? What is the common
autism without the vaccination? Well, once again, it's connected to vaccinations, and our food is what we're finding out from what RFK is actually finding out. One of them is the fact that things like mercury and other things and AIDS are actually in there. The anti-vax movement, there was a couple, so you'd have to be more specific. There's actually been 3 in this country that came with it. There was some during Big Pharma and several other things. Like let me give you an example.
They couldn't tell me what
measles and some of the other things that they take and they give you immunizations for, that because science has evolved, we know that was a lack of something in their diet.
Well, I've noticed, like, with my child, since he's been home, like, back, people are eating, right?
Yes.
Well, I noticed, like, the yellow dye.
HIV, AIDS, and yes, it has been found. And actually, there's even been studies with the Takalichi project that was done on the sickle cell thing that was done through the blacks communities.
The original.
There's another one done by the Indian reservations. There's all sorts of experimentation. A lot of experimentation was done in the sanitariums throughout the country, and when those were shut down, now that's why CPS, if you've heard RFK say, hey, we found certain states and this and that are doing medical experiments on children, then because they get money from.
When was the first vaccine? Well, now let me.
It's.
I do want to say I don't know for sure if it was the vaccine. Is what I'm saying. You know, because I'm waiting for RFK to come out. But what RFK said in that briefing he had was the same story. My child. That's why. And I can't say what, because they can never tell me nothing. They said it was the air. They said it was the grass. They told me a bunch of different things. But I do know that like the yellow dye and that red dyes, like yellow one, and that's somehow, that had some, and that didn't help him at all. Even recently, that didn't help.
Well, and there's a lot of things. Yeah, you're right, Chrissy. It went from 3 jabs that they had as children. Well, I think we are up to 17, but now that there's been a change in that, it is it's actually gone down because they've removed all the COVID vaccinations from the schedule, as well as several others.
I will definitely look that up.
It's very easily. Yeah, the fraudulent vaccines. Yeah, we've gone through that. Rotavirus and several others. Like I said, we're taking vaccines for things that we've already found cures for by just changing our diet. Scurvy was found out that it had to do with what? A lack of citric acid. How did they fix it? By eating, fruit like oranges and lemons and limes and other things like that. So why do we need a virus for it and go through there and, and have those things? That's the whole argument of all this is, why do we need this when there's a natural solution? And here's the reason why. You can't make a profit or patent something found in nature in our country. That's why everything is big pharma and all those other things, because you cannot have natural ingredients in those things and actually put a patent on it. And you can't make money, because that's how they make money, is off the patent of saying, we're the only company that has the solution, buy it from us. Because it's not about the well-being of the American people. It's about the almighty dollar and who they can do. The original one, due to all of these theories and states maybe similar for some. Yes, the original one, I have read it, but like I said, I'm a little tired, and like I said, with my heart condition, the tireder I get at the end of the day and everything else, my brain gets a little bit foggy through that. It went all the way back from, if you're talking just here in the U.S., or are you talking, worldwide as far as vaccination studies? Because a lot of stuff was done by Oxford School of Medicine did quite a few studies over in England. I think India had some studies that were suppressed that actually came out with a couple of those other things. There's many different ones that are out there. It's fine. It's just been a while, Brad. Like I said, it's been a long day, dude. And to be honest with you, and Danielle could tell you, if you caught my show on Sunday, I'm still kind of recovering from being an international independent journalist. We shared some stuff they had just busted another Wakefield, the Wakefield study. Yeah, I'm familiar with that. Understanding too that on Sunday that I had a source, actually they had just busted another island internationally that was very similar to Epstein Island, only it wasn't just sex trafficking. It was adrenochrome, and they were actually harvesting organs from children to sell on the black market. That was just recently busted here in the past week. Now, a lot of it hasn't been declassified. I could only report on so much due to security issues. But like I said, my source knows that I won't reveal my sources with those things. But some of the things they shared, dude, you never want to see those things that I've seen. I'm just going to tell you that it would cause such trauma. You wouldn't know what to do with yourself, man. I mean, I mean, and I can paint a little picture. Imagine walking in the children that are tied up, that are just gut from here to here and opened up for their stomach to harvest their organs, for people to, bust the back of their brains open, chop off their heads and scare the shit out of them, and chop off their brains so they can get in there easier, to stick a needle in for the pineal gland where they're getting the adrenochrome. Oh, absolutely, Brad. Yes, vaccines do harm that. And I think that's where I'm really thankful for, the Trump administration and RFK for what he's exposing, because there are a lot of things that have been hidden from him. He's kicking ass, man. I'm telling you what, he is kicking ass across this country.
Wait.
The guy that was running the Harvard School of Medicine, he just got caught stealing organs to sell on the black market. Harvard's in a lot of trouble lately, and there's a lot of dark stuff going on at Harvard, man. And imagine paying, I know you said $35,000. What's Harvard up to? Like $150,000 to $185,000 a semester or something like that. It's crazy. But we're not supposed to be doing cloning research. We're not supposed to be doing this. But there are people that are doing it. And it's happening. And it's disgusting. And they want our children. They want this for that, and they don't care. They look at they look at children as commodity. There's no faces to them. There's no faces.
America picked it up and sanctionized it.
By the British,
sensationalized it. And it was by a British lunatic. Please read the original Wakefield report.
The original Wakefield report out of the British School of Medicine. That was, I believe, that was the Oxford publication. I believe, Brad, if I'm correct, because he was out of Oxford. Yeah, Oxford is a college, higher education solution. That was the Oxford School of Medicine. That actually the Wakefield report, I believe, came out of. If I'm correct on that. Once again, I double check that. My mind's a little fuzzy right now, but. Crazy. Arbor was caught making bioweapons with China. Trust me, there's a lot coming out with China right now, with a lot of universities and several others actually working with them to do a lot of things working with our enemies, man. It's crazy.
I can actually read through the whole thing, which it will be the first report you have actually, and see how insane it is. Oof. It's mostly detailed.
Brad, I've looked through several reports. The problem is like I said, as I've gotten older, and like I said, with my health conditions, my mind is like a library, to where I know where it's at. I got to go to the stack, the road, the shelf, the everything else. I organize my brain to go back. But like I said, with that, having those things, it has clouded a few things. But I have read millions and millions of reports. Like I said, on a lot of those things, even the movement and the big push that happened here in our country in the late 1940s, early 1950s, with a huge push of big pharma.
He said
taken away from that.
So it was misinterpreted.
Only on the mRNA, but that we misinterpret that. Oh, absolutely. To go back to the original Wakefield report, there is so much in there that the medical community over here twisted that up so bad. And actually, one of the students that was part of that original movement was Fauci.
It really? Fauci was part of that.
Fauci's teacher.
So he made.
Was part
that's
of
why we
sensationalized. Yes, absolutely. His mentor. 100%.
And that's what we like, Brad. That's what we we like to learn. Your opinion and and I brag about you all the time.
It runs deep. There are some people out there that believe the world is overpopulated, that we are consuming too many resources and this and that, like Bill Gates, and want population control, and several others. And at the same time, he was doing charitable contributions and everything else. But at the same time, he was the biggest supporter of the WHO. Yeah, he was the major contributor of it. He was pushing the agenda worldwide, but he wrote it off under charitable contributions.
You guys.
So those are some crazy things. But guys, we're going to wrap things up. Brad, join us again, you guys. It's getting late. I know it's get through here. We've got a few things to do, and I know we've been on here for a while.
You know,
Brad, we can pick that up next time. Like I said, my brain is Bill Gates' dad, all sorts of. Listen, you start rolling back history with some of these families, the Clintons, the Soroses. It's there's so many rabbit holes to go down. It's ridiculous. But guys, we're going to take and kind of wrap it up and call it a night. And we thank you.
Yes, it's Ken.
And,
you look tired. We've been on through.
We could do this.
Thanks for coming in, Brad.
But,
thank you,
guys,
Brad.
Appreciate you joining us again.
You were thinking, Gunner. You look tired. You're right. He picked your brain.
I'm ready to unwind and chill out. But yeah, go down that rabbit hole with the lead singer of Linkin Park and Nancy Schaefer, dude, and enjoy. All I'm going to tell you is enjoy what you actually find and what you see on that. And you guys are all rock stars out there. Thank you for supporting
Come back
us.
and see us.
Thanks for
Come back, Brad. He said it was good talking to us.
Awesome, man. You guys are awesome. And we love that. Listen, we're not that thing that we don't want to have those conversations. The point of this show is to bring debate, the information that you have and everything else, and come to the table and challenge each other to do better, which is what each American should be doing for each other. Is that we are to learn something new every day and challenge ourselves to be better as individuals. So
Chris, please stop. Just give that. Stop.
We're going to wrap it up, guys.
Thanks, Brad. Thanks for coming in.
We'll talk to you later.
Thank you.
And, see you next time.
In the United States, CPS makes upwards of $3 billion per day on trafficking and selling our children. The corruption may start with the caseworker, but goes through the judicial system, passing the governor through the Senate and into the White House. The entire system has a hand in the business known as CPS.
Our children are stolen.